Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Clipping Point. My name is Captain Ben, and we have a special guest this evening.
Two special guests.
Two special guests. That's right. Thank you,
one super special, one like kind of special.
You have to figure out which one.
Yeah, you have to. You decide.
Right. Exactly. One of our special guests is Mr. Sean Love, famously known for SLR Speed and all of their suspension components. Famously on a lot of, a particular brand of vehicles.
Yes.
And I think you're planning on venturing out into other things. Who knows? We'll get into that. Don't worry about that.
We do more already.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll get more into that. And I think what?
You're in the past, buddy.
Yeah. I'm familiarizing myself. Relax there. Okay. And then one of our special guests, I don't even know where to begin, but Mr.
the man of the hour, really the gentleman that we reached out to, and Rawri Drift. Is that what we're going by, or just Rawri?
Just Rawri.
Just Rawri.
Rawri was taken on Instagram, so.
Okay. All
Rawri
right.
Drift, I guess, gives you some identity of where I'm going for.
Nice. And then of course we have myself and my brother.
Over here. Oh, there we go.
What are you saying? Oh, okay. Yeah, so he's going to whisper in my ear when he has a question. Anyways, so you made the trek down from parts unknown, I think Mexico, or actually where you live in Yugoslavia or something.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you coming here. It's been a crazy amount of weather, so it took you a little longer. But let's just start off. My first question is the name, Rawri. Where did that come from? Or is that something you can even reveal?
Yeah, so originally, I would say, like maybe 15 years ago, I was thinking I might make a Ferrari drift car.
Oh, I did not see that one.
Yeah, and then that would have made even more sense. Mm-hmm. And I thought that sounded like a cool name. And then, of course, I knew somebody named Rawri, with an O, Rawri. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that was really just the sort of where it came from.
Interesting. So
maybe someday I'll do a Ferrari, but
that'd be nice. Or maybe put the engine from a Ferrari into something.
Right.
That might be something in the future. So those of you guys that aren't familiar with Rawri, Rawri decided to do something that a lot of people that I've noticed, even on the other side of the country, are talking about, and we just hear all kinds of things. Who's this guy with this mask on, and why is he doing what he's doing? So I guess my question to you is, why did you decide now to start with this build, and what is the motivation behind the secretism?
Yeah. So I guess it's just kind of a way I approach life in general. Is if I'm going to jump into something, I want to get into it with the best chances of being successful. Mm-hmm. So whether it's like in marketing or in startups or anything I've done in the past, I look at a high level and say, what am I dealing with if I jump into this specific industry or market or whatever? So when I look at drifting industry and drifters in general, no one really stands out very much, in my opinion. In the last year, I've gone to multiple events in like Oklahoma and Florida and Colorado, and just like seeing, what do the drivers look like when they're at events? Okay. Do they stand out? Are they marketable? And how can I stand out in that arena?
Interesting. Okay.
So, and also, if you don't have tons and tons of money, if you're not like funded by your parents or something, how are you going to get sponsorship, which you need in drifting to move anywhere going forward? So it kind of just broke down to, how can I stand out the most? Do an awesome build, but that's what everybody tries to do.
Yeah.
And then how do you do like an awesome build as a driver? Mm-hmm. And then how can you do that super fast with the least amount of funds? Mm-hmm. And so I think the anonymous aspect definitely makes me stand out. On Instagram, on TikTok, I get tons of people already offering me free tires or free vinyl or free trailer. Somebody already offered.
We're doing it wrong, Ben. We're doing it wrong. It's the best. And not only would it benefit the people that watch, but it would benefit their wallets too. I'm sorry. So go ahead.
You should have all just been anonymous. This whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Cut you off.
So I have a few ideas on what I want to do as a driver. On top of this whole anonymous thing. But I mean, the whole thing is really just to stand out. If I'm being realistic, you know, I saved 150,000, which I did over basically the last 10 years. It's not going to last forever. Like a car build is extremely expensive. Running just a couple seasons, I mean, it all gets blown.
Right.
So what can I do within that time period to actually stand out, get people behind me, build some trust, get a team, and then of course show off, you know, driving skill. Right. I have to do that. So it's like a whole package I hope I can put together. And I mean, it's always a gamble if you're throwing money, but I'd rather invest in myself than like
absolutely
something else.
Yeah,
and like let's have fun with it.
Right. And one thing that I think that's cool that you're doing is you're not. So a lot of people, especially nowadays, you go back 10, 15 years ago, which you've been around for a while, from what I understand. It was a whole different world. Now it's everybody's has these radical builds, even before they even know if they're going to go pro and whatnot. But what I do admire you for doing is you're kind of laying everything out there. Oops, I'm dropping stuff. I dropped my Picari sweat. Is that you're laying it all out there. So those that are interested, it gives them a glimpse because you're not just talking so much about the build, you're talking about the program. You're actually giving them a really good example of how to market yourself as well. Because in like you mentioned, you were going around to events and you're looking at it from a different perspective. A lot of people are looking, okay, I got to drive the best. And it's really, if you watch Formula Drift or any pro event, there are guys out there that don't podium that often that do it every year, right? So it's about marketing yourself. So I think that's cool. So was that part of your original intent to be just like, okay, I'm going to just be in an open door and make sure everybody can see what's going on?
Yeah, for sure. Because I also think that's something that in drifting is not as open as I would expect it to be a lot more open than it is, but everybody is holding like secrets to themselves that it's just like it's a barrier for other people to get into the series. If I want to jump into a series, I want that series to be growing. And if people are talking trash about Formula Drift or anything else, it doesn't help drifting overall.
Right.
And on top of that, no one knows how to set up their car or what tire pressure or what to do on their dampers or whatever. And because it's such a close held secret. So from the beginning, I wanted to be super open about it, show every aspect, every dollar. I'm going to be breaking it down per events. You know, this is how much it cost me for this. I saved money on this. Here's what I'm doing on ads. Here's what I'm doing to go to a meeting to talk with a sponsor. I want it to be as open as possible so more people can see it as a possibility and see it's not the $1 million that people are trying to comment. Like, you need $1 million just for one season. And it's like,
no, yeah,
you guys are so out of touch.
Yeah. So, like, another thing too is I think a lot of people are jaded as well. And I don't know if Sean Love, you could probably talk to this. Very often drivers do kind of take somebody under the wing and they'll give them some kind of advice. And it's just like they listen to the guy that doesn't know anything. I've seen that a lot. Yeah. So the fact that you're laying it out there and you're opening yourself for a whole lot of criticism.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And how has that been? I
get definitely more love than hate.
Okay.
I have so many DMs from people just like through Instagram and TikTok. TikTok I'm the biggest on right now.
Okay.
And then in Discord, because I have a Discord community, just constantly thanking for already. I don't even think I gave that much value yet in terms of information, but it's already getting people to asking me what car they should buy, what kind of coilovers, what kind of angle kit they should get, all these things. Oh, wow. And yeah, so I mean, the response so far has been fantastic, I think. And then, like I said, people are already offering me all this free stuff or to.
Right.
I have, I don't know, 20 people want to be my mechanic.
Well, probably just to find out who you are.
Maybe, but they'll be under NDA as well.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I don't know. It's been great so far. It's been better than I thought.
Okay.
I thought I'd have way more hate.
Okay.
But instead, I think I don't know. It's something new, and I think it's exciting for people to feel like almost they're along for the journey since they don't know who I am. They're kind of part of it. And when they're in the Discord community or talking to me in DMs,
Okay.
It's like they're a part of the journey as well.
Well, that's good. That has been a positive experience so far. And like you said, you haven't even really given as much as you're planning to give. So that's great for those people that are watching and are watching your career unfold. Have you, let's kind of just dive into this a little bit as far as it comes to what is your plan to run a Pro-Am licensing series? Is that something that you're going to attempt locally, or are you going to, because I don't really know where you're from, but are you going to do that Pro-Am licensing series in the area that you're staying?
So I was debating between Oklahoma, Colorado, and Florida.
Okay.
And so that's why I went to those areas, just to see what they're doing, but also what's the competition like. Colorado right now is opening up their Pro-Am, so that should be really exciting. It seems like there's a lot of drivers in the area who are going to travel to try to be in that Pro-Am.
Right.
So it's going to be very competitive, but I think it might be really fun. But Florida's still on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. As far as practice, when's the last time you had a chance to practice at all? Not where, but just when? Like, or how recently?
Well,
so that's going to be something.
I have been in a few cars, but not at events.
Okay.
So more street stuff.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. Street, whatever, because especially with what you're trying to do and trying to maintain that, the element of like, who are you and what's the mystery? Yeah, the mystery behind the mask. It's going to be, I find that's going to be a challenge for you.
Yep.
How are you going to overcome that?
Like in terms of driving ability.
No, driving ability, that I'm not too concerned about. But what I'm saying is that how are you going to get that seat time? Because everybody's going to be all over you. As soon as you show up at the first licensing event you show up at, everybody's going to be all over you trying to figure out who you are. And you're going to really have to have a good crew because from what I understand, at least what I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to have to isolate yourself and basically just come out of the trailer, drive, and go back in the trailer. Otherwise, you're going to be freaking swarmed.
Well,
have you thought about that yet?
But Tim, that's why he has Sean Love.
And that's what
Sean Love is the muscle.
He's going to do everything.
I'll jump out the other side of the trailer when he goes to one side.
Yeah, we'll fake him out.
Yeah, or just make everybody wear a mask on your team.
So we did think about that at one point.
yeah,
It was
okay.
like, yeah, all the mechanics are going to be wearing masks too. They don't know who I am.
Right.
There you go.
Who do they shoot?
Some body doubles.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I just have body doubles.
That's actually not a bad idea. Just have somebody that's you're just like walking around the events, popping up every now and then, like, oh, he's over there! Oh, he's over there!
Right.
You actually do a couple different drivers.
Yeah, you actually.
Yeah.
Probably like 3 different drivers that compete.
Yeah. But seriously though, like that, I could see. Do you have a plan for that? I'm not saying to divulge a plan, but you've already kind of looked into it? I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a commitment to keep the mask on. Thankfully, as a driver, you can also have a helmet on. So I just close the visor and I can do many things, and it's very hard to get the helmet off.
Yeah. Well, nowadays you can wear any kind of mask and go anywhere you want because of COVID. What that did for us.
That's true. Yeah.
Really. I mean, you could just you could wear sunglasses and nobody really know.
Yeah.
But I do know a certain event organizer that is going to start requesting driver's license, which he's never done before. It's Chris Jackson. I was talking to him. He's like, "Wow, he's got to show his license." I'm like, I was like, "Do you really ask people? You never asked us for a license before." Well, it's insurance, and it's liability. Like he went this whole spiel. How are you gonna? Because
So stay away from Chris Jackson.
Yeah, stay away from Chris Jackson. But what I'm saying is that could be. I'm not saying like legally could be a liability if you're signing Rawri. Is that something? You think that, well, maybe just go somewhere that say, listen, don't worry about it, come and drive. That's probably where we're going to end
That's
up.
why he has those other options like Colorado and Oklahoma.
There you go. I'm just giving you a warning.
I mean, as far as
Florida.
I've seen in rules, unless they change rules, I don't have to divulge my identity
Okay.
to be in those. So if Chris is changing that, then maybe I won't be in
Oh,
Florida.
yeah. Well, just giving you a heads up.
Yeah, Chelsea used to drive at Hialeah with a fake ID, right?
I never asked for. You could put any name down and just say they don't. But anyways, whatever.
We'll figure it out. I'll find some place to go.
Yeah.
Mainly, I just want to drive. I haven't done a competition in a while, so first season is just going to be, learn the car, just just get worked into all that. I'm not really putting too much on myself to get first place.
Right.
It'd be great if that ends up happening, but
figuring out the car.
right, it's a brand new car. It is a little bit untested. Well, it's very untested.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so first season, I'm just going to do a lot of learning.
Okay. So what is your, do you have a goal, like go pro in 2 seasons, 3 seasons, or just make the attempt and see what happens?
Well, I have to set myself some sort of deadline
Right.
because there is funds involved, and those do trickle or slowly go away. So 3 years is my goal. So that's either 2 Proams or a Proam and 2 Prospecs, optimally. And that's on my own dime. If I get sponsors,
Right.
then that could extend.
Seems like
the
that
runway.
won't be a problem. I think you'll have that.
So far, it's been really great response.
Well, that's good.
I've been amazed.
Okay. So we got kind of that out of the way. Next thing I want to talk about is the build. You didn't choose a typical build. You choose a Mercedes.
Right.
So kind of go into the build, and then of course I want Sean to weigh in on what you had to do, because you don't make a kit for that, I'm assuming, correct?
Nope.
Okay. So tell us, Rawri, tell us about your build first.
Yeah, so what I chose is a Mercedes SL55 AMG. It's not really an AMG or anything anymore because I ripped everything out of it. But yeah, originally it's like 500 something horsepower.
Okay.
Decided it probably wasn't enough, or I didn't want to deal with the Mercedes electronics, which were all totally dying in that car. So I ripped everything out and put a Hellcat engine in it, and it's currently in the car. Actually, this week I should be wiring it all up with like the link ECU and the dash and all that. So hopefully it turns on. Fingers crossed. But yeah, that should give us 700 or 800 horsepower somewhat reliably. At least don't have too much to base that on besides
All the takeover cars?
all the takeover cars. You saw it coming. I was about to say. That's exactly what I was going to
They
say.
run over people all the time. So
Right, and they do it very reliably. They just keep coming back.
Yeah.
With no doors, no anything.
That's good.
We got the crate at the shop. We're trying to figure out how many people this thing ran over before. before it got to the
There's
shop.
some hair underneath here. What is that?
Under the oil
Is that a
pan.
piece of a scalp? There's an eyeball. Oh my god. Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, for Pro-Am, it's overkill. I mean, realistically, probably should just do like a 370Z with coils and cage it and do Pro-Am.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
But that's what common wisdom would say to do, instead of doing a full one-off build. But I actually don't see it as too. It's not, because I've been involved in building cars in the past. It doesn't feel like that big of a step to just throw a different engine in a car, and then
No.
it's already got coils from VVK, which is Sean's company, and we're going to make custom control arms on it, custom drive shaft. All these things are just simple in my mind, which might sound like a big task for other people, but
They're
so in the end, it was
typical
just
builds.
like right. It was just like, what's a cool car I could do?
Well, I'm saying
Yeah.
all the custom parts is nowadays is a normal part of the build.
Yeah,
Right.
The thing about nowadays is everybody's like just following a formula, right? So you're right. 350Z, just basic. Throw an LS in it. I mean, that's
Right.
what they're following. So
And then
you're
the-
kind of going completely against the grain.
Yeah, and then the problem is you look like everybody else. And
Yeah.
if you're trying to be a sponsor, like, why would a sponsor put anything on your car or give you anything if you just look like the crowd?
Right.
So yeah, it just goes along with the whole thing I was saying earlier. Just how can I stand out on every aspect?
Right. And you had the car already, or it was just something that you looked, you're like, I'd like to build that.
I bought the car, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and it just kind of sat there.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't do anything with it because multiple things broke on it. Replaced the engine, replaced the transmission on it. Like, it's a total money pit if
Right.
you want to keep it all with actual Mercedes stuff. So I bought the wide body kit back then, and then I just kind of been sitting on it, and I was like, okay, I'll use it at some point. And so it was just, I had it around. I think it looks cool. I think it'll be a nice car.
Yeah.
It's very overbuilt. We found, like, removing stuff from
Oh,
this
really?
car.
Okay.
Oh man,
Is it heavy?
it is super heavy.
Yeah.
But we've removed so much weight because it's a convertible, but a hardtop convertible.
Oh, okay. Right.
All right, so it's fully reinforced everything. So I think it'll be a nice car.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes a pretty sick. There's one thing about Mercedes. They make them pretty sick body kits for those. pretty regressive. Anyways, so Sean, what have you had to do? Have you tackled the angle kit yet, or is that something that's in the process?
No, that's something that's in the works. Actually looking to try out something a little bit novel for this, using, most of your European cars probably in the last 20 years use a dual pivot front suspension. So anything like BMW 5 Series has had that for, since like 84 or something.
Okay.
So like on the front of an E90 where you've got 2 lower control arms, and so it's a similar setup on that. But rather than eliminating the dual pivot, it becomes problematic when you're getting to big steering angles. But there's something we're going to try on that is going to retain the dual pivot system. But I don't know, it'll be interesting for sure.
Is it a front rack or is it a rear rack?
It's a front rack.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I much prefer to deal with that as well. Even if it was rear rack, probably change it to front rack anyway, because it's just not worth dealing with the compromises of a rear rack setup. You see, I think the whole industry is going that way now. Yeah, just putting the rack in front no matter what, because what it really comes down to is you're always going to have more, or you're always going to want more angle on your lead wheel. So when you have a rear rack, it's just so much earlier that the steering system over centers.
Okay.
So yeah, front rack is always better.
Yeah. I can't wait to, my first car, the E30, I was in a Wise Fab. I mean, that was, way a long time ago. Yeah. And then, I picked up the SLR kit, so I have yet to drift it. But I'm hoping soon. That's
your bills are almost as bad as mine. I've got cars in the shop I haven't driven for like 8 years.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm looking forward to testing it. I'm probably have to contact you to just pick your brain on settings. But anyways, enough about that. So you're doing you got this build, you got this car, you're building it, and what was the engine that you chose?
Hellcat.
And then how is that going to fit in there? That's a pretty big motor, isn't it?
It's a big motor, but I mean the car itself also had a V8 supercharged.
Oh, okay, that's a good point.
I mean, we definitely had to make some modifications right up to the rule book to fit this thing in the back. Yeah, but it sits quite a bit back behind the cross member or the subframe there, so it should be pretty nice.
Okay. I think. Now, as far as when it comes to tech, right? So we know that there are different tech requirements for Proam versus the Pro.
Right.
Let's say, okay, year one, you're getting in the groove, and do you need? No, it's okay.
Gotta say goodnight to the kids.
Oh, go for it. Go for
Do
it.
a quick cut.
Yeah. Go ahead, and pause it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, do it.
Kids were getting.
No. Hey, tell you, listen. We got kids. No worries.
You said earlier, we're old.
Yeah. Well, you don't have any kids, huh?
Kids aren't out of the nest yet.
My daughter's 17. My son is 26. Yeah. So yeah, I'm old, man. I started young.
Sorry, we're in like mid podcast, so we paused it real quick, but. Okay. This is good.
Actually, that was the booty sweat was really good. That was good.
Yeah, I like those green teas a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it next. I got a little. Too bad you can't. I thought you had a hole in your thing. But
that'll look a little weird, just a circle.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this? A GIMP mask?
Different type of video.
That's how I'm going to stand out at events.
It's on the phone.
Sorry. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
Sorry, we're getting loud.
Huh?
Sorry, we were getting loud. Yeah, it always happens. All right, so I'm just gonna basically ask him what engine he chose, and then I don't know.
Yeah.
Or just keep going, right?
Yeah, we can keep going.
So you chose a Hellcat engine, and it's tight fit in there. So, but my question that I was on was the changes in the rule book going from Prospec to Pro. Say, for instance, if you first season, like you said, you're really just getting back into the groove of things, and hopefully the second season, you're able to get that license. So now, say you got your license. Second season, we're ahead of schedule a little bit because you said 3 years initially. But
3 years to pro.
3 years to pro. So now your third season. What do you have to do to that car? Is that car going to be able to just transition into pro, or I don't really understand the process of that.
No. So the idea is to make a Prospec car, get the pro license in 3 years, but not be in a pro series.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Right. So then, if we get to that part of the whole journey, probably have to do a bunch of changes in the Pro time.
And you would try to? Do you think you would try to keep the same car?
Depends. I mean, we'll see how it feels.
Right.
It's kind of hard to tell right now. It might just be, a really great car, and then I just want to stick with it. And also, I'm building a sidecar right now too, just in case I have something that, puts a hurdle in the road. Road.
That's smart.
So we'll have something for Pro-Am at least.
Has anybody else built that car?
So I've heard there's 2 different people who have built this car before. One, the first guy who did it was in Bulgaria or Romania. It's a Bulgarian guy in Romania, and he did a wide body SL55, or I think it was some version of the R230 platform, and it looks pretty cool. And he's doing it in competition in Poland,
Okay.
or Romania. And then there's some other guy, I think his name's Will, and I never heard of him until I started getting all the comments on Instagram, and I check his page out, and I'm already blocked.
Oh wow! It really?
So this guy doesn't like me,
Wow.
and I keep getting screenshots from people sending to me. Will said this about you. Will said that about you. I was like, I don't even know who this guy is.
Is he in the States?
Yeah, he's, I don't know, probably California or something.
Wow, interesting. Salty already.
Yeah. But he's talking about me on his Instagram, and I guess he has some sort of following.
Yeah, any publicity is good publicity, and I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
But as far as I know, he's maybe the only one in the U.S., and that other guy's the only one in Europe.
Okay. So when you get the build, my other question is, do you have somebody that is going to tandem with you? Like, so some drivers, they'll have somebody that basically like a practice buddy. Almost like in boxing, right? You have a sparring partner.
Right.
Do you have somebody that's you think you can line up as a sparring partner for you?
I guess there'd be a few people. But I was just about to start pointing over here.
Yeah.
He's got a built car already. A few cars already. So probably
Most
do
likely.
some street stuff and find some road
Harry's
courses.
building a car too.
Harry who?
Turvola.
Ah, okay.
He's building a car. So if you're, I don't know. He's having a baby now. You saw that?
No.
Sean, you saw it, right? Yeah, you know.
I haven't kept up on that much. Honestly.
Really? I just every once in a while I see him pop up on my screen. I was like, he's having a baby. And this guy's doing it all over again. Good for him.
And he's building a new car.
And
now?
he's building a car and a baby at the same time. He has
like-
2 builds.
Build a car, build a baby.
Yeah, build a car, build a baby.
Mr. I hate American engines.
Oh.
Drives a Corvette now.
Yeah, he's fine. Well, yes, yeah.
All 3 in that, too.
Yeah, what can you do? All right, so competition experience in the past. Hopefully you have some and you're going to be able to utilize that. It's going to be interesting to see how you train. I'm really going to be, I don't know how to see how people are going to react to you once you get to the track.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if it's any indicator from online, I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's just, I think there'll just be a lot of people who want to talk or say, hey, I know I see you in person.
Right.
Which is cool. I look forward to it.
Nice. So my other question I had was as far as choosing the Mercedes, and you said you have another car on the side. What is the other car on the side?
So I haven't really released what it is.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But
Come on, Tim.
I could give some
how am I
hints.
supposed to know that?
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking maybe I'll just tell everybody on this
Made out of metal.
on this podcast.
It's made out of metal, has 4 wheels.
It's made out of metal, has 4 wheels. Maybe you guys could guess it.
Mid-engine,
Oh, okay.
2-seat.
It's 2 seats.
No.
Well, you think an MR2? No.
Is it?
You guys are going to
Yeah.
eyes are going to explode.
Yeah. If you say anything Toyota that you're going to drift, I mean, he's going to...
Yeah, it's not a Toyota.
Very
okay, good.
unconventional rear suspension.
Very unconventional. And we're going to put a motorcycle engine in it.
Oh, yeah, you're just... let's not take the ezy route. We're going to make our sidecar... Our side chick's definitely more complicated than our main chick.
Yeah. So
I
there's
already said it.
there's a video that's going to come out in the next part on Instagram where I'm like, I took everybody's feedback and I basically threw it out the window. I bought this thing instead.
So we'll just leave it for that then.
What's that?
We'll leave it for the Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll leave it for that.
It depends on when this comes out.
This is come on Friday.
On Friday, yeah.
I think it'll come out before that.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's a smart car.
Oh, my God.
with a Hayabusa turbo engine, built 450 horsepower.
I like this.
The wheelbase.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Okay. Well,
We picked it up in Miami the other day, and that thing feels like it's going to endo on the highway.
Yeah. That wasn't. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to work out, but it didn't.
So it's another Mercedes. You got another Mercedes.
There was a guy that was drifting Starlet in Japan.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's not too much bigger. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I just the
This
idea
thing's gonna
is
go from wheelie to stoppy.
Yeah.
some videos people put Hayabusas and they do wheelies.
No, that's a serious. You throw that motor in there, it looks like a good time.
You're gonna get a barrel roll.
Right. Like I already had the engine built and turboed, and it was ready. I was going to put it in a go-kart to have just a cool like mess around thing. And then we were just looking the other day, and I didn't realize smart cars are rear-wheel drive. So I was like, fine, I'll just go buy one of those.
Yeah, I didn't realize
They're
they're.
rear-wheel drive. Yeah.
I thought they were front-wheel drive.
Yeah, it's
So
my
did I.
fault.
Yeah,
He's like,
we were sitting on his couch,
yeah,
and he's like, they're rear-wheel drive.
yeah. He's like, oh, too bad they're front wheel drive. I'm like, no, they're rear drive.
And I was like, we're going to buy one right now.
I was like, stop. This is a bad idea.
Yeah,
And then like less than 12 hours later, I had a smart car.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about buying a smart car instead of a golf cart just because it's cheaper.
Right,
You get a smart car and you have AC. If you need to leave the track, you can.
right.
I mean, basically.
Yeah, but down here, don't they let you drive golf carts all over the roads wherever you want?
You do, but I wouldn't. Well, yeah, people do it around here.
I think it's hilarious. Like you can't bring in a Skyline, but you can drive a golf cart all over South Florida. I'm
That's a
like,
good point, actually.
The windshields are thicker on the golf cart.
Yeah. I never even thought about that. That's a good point. Yeah, it is. Well,
Yeah.
you can register a Razor or a Polaris or whatever, but you can't buy a Skyline.
Right.
So what would you say in your drifting career has been your most, your favorite track? Because you've been all across the world. This is always a deep thinker.
I don't know. I drove Florida mostly, so
Yeah, put a pin in it.
I don't know. PBIR was fun.
Ebisu.
Back when it was Moroso and you could do the back
Ebisu.
track.
Ibisu?
Yeah.
We
Ebisu.
We went to Ebisu. Yeah, that's true.
So we'll go with that.
Ebisu was nice.
Yeah.
Did the jump before they made it into a dirt track.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, rental car, 4-wheel drive, Corolla, something. Got every ounce of speed we could.
We got a lot of
down
looks.
towards the jump and pretended to be Daigo.
A lot of love.
As soon as the weight comes down, it just understeers.
I'm sure they're used to that. But I want to thank Sean for bringing us these drinks from Japan. I appreciate that. I don't know if you brought them from Japan or you ordered them, whatever. They are from Japan. Booty sweat, Rawri sweat. I think that's what that means. Okay, so you got a sidecar that. I'm
gonna
literally a sidecar.
Yeah. I'll put the engine in, and if it feels good, I'll continue with it and go through a whole build. But if I put it in and it doesn't feel right, I'll just buy like a 350 or 370.
Okay.
You can buy them already with coils and angle.
Yeah.
And just put a cage in it, and you'd be under 10K. And
Yeah.
that's my like baseline backup, and I can do that within like a month.
There's a lot of builds out there right now that I'm sure it's a good market right now.
Right.
Because I've seen some pretty decent builds that you can you're ready to go. You just buy it and go off, and of course you have to clean up somebody else's mess. But yeah, there's a good market out there right now. I think a lot of stuff is just not selling. I
Right.
don't know if that's to do with Christmas or whatever. So what's the next step for you?
Finish the Mercedes ASAP. Of course, I had to throw a wrench in and put the smart car. But yeah, I need to get that thing finished as soon as possible. Get some seat time, see how it feels. I mean, there's going to be things we need to fix, and yeah, just get ready and then determine after that where I'm going to go, what state.
Okay. Now I noticed you bought a sim rig. Looked like a pretty nice sim rig. You got like a whole
Right.
little closet set up for you, so you just get in the zone. When
Yeah,
you go
right in
there.
my bathroom.
Yeah, right in there, right. You can accomplish two things at one time.
Exactly.
But-
You just jump between two seats.
So my question is a sim
what are
rig
those
new
two
to you,
things?
or have you been on a sim rig for a while already?
I've never been on a sim rig.
So how was it?
It was a bit of a learning curve because you're definitely missing so many aspects in a real car. I don't get the weight shift. I didn't know how to. I have to actually visually look at when it brakes, what it's doing, like on the screen, which was very strange. Never driving a sim. But then I think 45 minutes in, and you start to get it.
Right.
And then I guess people were telling me I was using the wrong car in the video, so now I got different cars, and I think they feel the same. Just with more grip.
Yeah. Ben, you do a lot of the sim rig stuff. Actually, you want a good trainer on the sim. I mean, you can find him online, and he helps a lot of drivers out there. Christian Catrone, you've kind of help those guys when they're on the drifting on the webs thing.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I kind of share like his sentiment with a lot of the cars. In many ways, a lot of them kind of like feel the same. It's just kind of, but again, I have a different setup, and a lot of the stuff that many people say doesn't apply because of the way I'm running my setup. But for the most part, like, yeah, there's different levels of grip and different sort of little like tricks to get around to get the car to do certain things, but it's relatively the same as far as from what I've seen. But yeah.
Yeah, like I was using, I guess, called gravy garage cars, and definitely in that car, it feels like you're always sideways. Like it feels like you're drifting. So I thought that was maybe the right car to go with. But then everybody says, no, you have to use a VDC car, which is some virtual drifting championship cars. Those are 1,000-something horsepower, and they have tons of grip. And it feels fine after like 10 minutes, but you're just doing a burnout. It just, like, at least for me, it was a mind shift of don't try to go sideways. Think 45-degree burnout. And then everything just clicks. And then you could just link all the courses. So I didn't think it was that big of a difference. So at some video in the future, I have to show that car or driving those cars.
Yeah, because Gabriel said the same thing. He said he should be fine using the Gravy Garage cars because Gabriel does a lot of driving in the sim as well, but driving in real life. And he's like, the Gravy Garage cars feel like more like a real car. He said the VDC cars, you're just playing the game now. Those cars are for competition in the game. He said those teach you bad habits. He's completely against. He thinks he should stay on the Gravy Garage, but he's like, I see all these guys telling him not to. It's like, no, if he wants to be closer to real life, he should stay on the Gravy Garage. So that was one thing Gabriel wanted me to make sure he mentioned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like originally people...
That's what a lot of people seem to say about these pro-level cars these days that are really super gripped up. And there's that sort of theory to bring it back more towards the fun drifting, 300 tread wear tires, 235, Adam and other guys have started to do some series like that. Well, I guess the LZ World Tour, I think, is a 235, 300 tread wear tire.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I've heard that these, I haven't had the chance to drive any one of these like super crazy gripped up, really pro level cars these days, but I've heard that they're really a chore to drive and not really that enjoyable.
Yeah, Chelsea talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had Pat Gooden on, and he's mentioned that how undrivable it is. And I mean, there's really no way to describe it. And we try to kind of like, we asked him like, what if you were to put the tires in the setup on like a Toyota Yaris, for instance? What else? I mean, I was trying to sort of like find some way, some common ground to get some sort of relatable sort of explanation of how would to get a sense of it. But there's really no way. I guess you would have to go to the extent, and I'm guessing Rawri's going to probably go to that extent of trying to find out. It's like, oh, this is the extent of the bill that you have to put up in order to be able to compete with these cars.
Yeah, because there's a whole different ballgame now than it was back in the day. Everybody's more grip, and honestly, I think a lot of the guys are shooting themselves in the foot.
That's how those VDC cars feel in Assetto. It just, you're balancing on grip going 45 degrees in my mind. And if you just go a little bit off, it's gone. So you just have to be comfortable in that little pocket. And it's not as fun as the Gravy Garage car. That actually feels like a real car.
Okay.
To me. But a bunch of people have different opinions, I guess, who are using Assetto a lot.
Those are the people that play the game.
There's people that play the game, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But my thing about my setup is that, and I don't know if maybe you do it, but one of the things that I do is that I purposely set it up different, so that way then make the distinction of like this is a simulator and not like real life, because whenever I try to sort of apply any sort of like real life methods onto the simulator, it's just doesn't work out. And then it's a constant battle of me and frustration of me trying to apply that and it not functioning. And I'm just like, I need I want to shut it off. So to make the distinction of saying like, hey, like set it up different so that way then I distinguish them both, and then I don't run the risk of it affecting the way how I drive in the simulator and how I drive in real life. So do you find yourself doing anything like that, or you're just trying to sort of figure it out along the way?
I think the handwork in Assetto translates over quite nicely to a real car. I don't think any of the footwork really feels correct. And I have like I don't know, whatever this force stuff you stick into the pedals, and it's supposed to make it feel more like a real brake and a real gas pedal. I don't think those feel correct. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I can disconnect between the game and a real car.
Well, it's that physical feedback that you are used to, right?
Right.
You know, a lot of the kids that start drifting on the Sims, they don't have to. It's like an old dog learning new tricks, right? It's like they don't have to fight that old, like, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel right, because they don't really know what feels right, right? They do some stuff, they get some basic hand movements down, some muscle memory, and they take that and they can translate it into the track. But I do find a lot of guys that have a lot of experience driving before the sim. I get nauseous. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a learning curve. I've just been forcing myself to do it because it's like I have access to it every day. It's like I said, it's in my bathroom. Yeah. So I can just, it's like, well, if it's here and I bought it, I better use the hell out of this thing and at least get something from it. And like I said, I think the handwork does transfer over. But there's like a saying in the sim community that people keep telling me is that if you started at sim, it translates to a real car. If you started from a real car, sim is going to be horrible.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could definitely see it because you're just missing so much feedback.
We've asked a lot of people. I mean, we almost ask everybody that comes on. And when we asked Asbo why or how he utilizes it, is basically he said that if he gets on it, he'll get on it and only do like 2 or 3 laps because it's exactly how he has to perform in real life. So he uses it in that aspect. So he hops on it. He doesn't put like 300 laps or 100 laps. He just hops on it, does 2 or 3 laps, try to do the best run he can do, and then hops off of it.
Huh. That's an interesting way. Yeah, he has some amazing videos in sim on Instagram. He seems like a sim driver. But if he's only doing it for a couple laps, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. That's he's trying to train himself to translate that over to what the real world is. He said you can't just, like you said, can't just do endless laps in an event. A lot of times now I think they get a little more practice, but a lot of times you get a couple laps and you're qualifying. Right. So you don't really have much time. Actually, I want to start moving on to like some current events as far as drifting. But before I do, I got a little gift for you, I guess you could say. And this may reveal to some people the kind of man he is. You guys don't know about this. So I got you something.
All right.
Sean knows about it a little bit. I had to pick his brain about something. So what kind of man is Rawri? Right? What kind of man is Rawri? What does Rawri drink? You know, when he goes out on the club and stuff. So I figure, you're building drift cars and stuff like that. So if you're into drift cars, you're into dinosaurs. So because dinosaurs are cool. So I got you Jurassic Park cup. I know you don't have a hole in your mouth, so you're not gonna be able to drink it. So it kind of defeats the purpose. But I thought dinosaurs, drifting, kind of go hand in hand in my book.
Well, oil.
Yeah, that's where the oil's from. You're burning that, right? They're powering. So does Rawri drink protein shakes?
Huh.
Or is Rawri a Twisted Tea kind of guy? Is he a Twisted Tea?
I hate Twisted Tea.
Oh, okay.
That's fighting words. Okay. Don't tell Pat.
Okay. Or is Rawri a White Claw kind of guy?
I've had maybe one.
Okay, so he's not a White Claw kind of guy. So we're getting in the general theme here. We're trying to find out who this person is. Bakari Sweat. He's a Bakari Sweat, a blue sweat.
Oh,
Is he a Modelo kind of guy?
Sometimes.
Okay, so we're getting to see the progression there. So, let me see here. I got this for you, Paul. This is Hard Arizona. I figure you would like that. And I couldn't find what I was told you really liked because I don't know if they make it anymore. Or are you a Guinness kind of guy?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you
Lots
guys,
of Guinness.
you could tell a lot by a man by his drink.
Right.
So he's a Guinness stout kind of man.
That's right.
Ladies,
And Murphy's is really good too.
I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. I went everywhere. I went to Total Wine. They didn't have it. I'm like, you guys saw this? So I don't know where the heck you find it. Only at like Irish pubs.
In Ireland, probably now. In Europe.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't fair, Sean.
I got it here.
I got you next. I'm like, what's
Yeah, I
this
haven't found it at Total Wine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't found it anywhere. So, anyhow, so this is going to be a present for you. You can take that home.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it. And, all right, so I can drink it. I know
My little sippy cup.
Yeah, there you go. You can take it
Mask is
home.
its own bottle opener.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want it, I mean, I'll you know, it's up to you.
What's this straw?
That straw I was gonna pour that in there. Or
We can try it.
You want to try? Okay,
Yeah, let's try
let me
it.
open it for you. Okay. See here.
What the hell is this? Like a condom for the straw?
That's what wedding rings are good for. If you never used a wedding ring for
Oh, is that what you just did?
bottle opener, yeah. Sean, you know about that, right? He's trying. Look, this man loves his Guinness.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
It comes in fuzzy.
It comes in fuzzy. It's
Fizzy.
filtered. It's filtered. It's filtered. Ah,
It's a good sound, right? Through the microphone.
all right. Now that we're kind of loosening up here, and here you want?
I'll mix the Guinness with the protein shake.
Yeah. I don't know. That was for Ben. Okay, so now we're starting to loosen up. You got a little Guinness flowing in the veins. Things are good. Life is good right now. Now we're going to get into current events as far as drifting. My question to you, back in the day, Formula Drift was the premier series. Everybody wants to go pro. You got to go through the Proam series. Back when I was trying to do it, I was going through Streetwise Drift. Driving all over the world, or not? Well, it felt like it, right? It felt like it because you're going all over North Carolina.
All over the world.
It is a whole nother world, that's for sure.
That's what you're in Florida. For
right.
A long time. I went to Georgia. It's a whole other world.
My point is you have what we didn't have back then is the birth of like these Adam LZ events, these exhibitions. What is your take on the Formula Drift? Because it's kind of been the same for almost 20 years now, right? 20 years are going on?
Yeah.
To now these LMLZ events, these different little clutch kickers for Fuel Fest, right? All these like exhibition events. LS Fest, right? You find some drivers now that aren't even really caring about going pro. They're kind of just going to do these events. What do you think?
I think it's all good for the community. I like all of these leagues.
Okay.
Formula Drift definitely has the biggest name recognition in the U.S. at least. So that's just my first inclination to go into that direction.
Right.
If I want to drive with the best drivers, right, I want to progress as a driver. I think that's still the best place to go currently. But I am completely open to taking part in other series.
Yeah, because I could see kind of the avenue that you're going down where you're marketing yourself in a way that is going to be, I could see, in demand in one of these events. I could see you getting invitations to these Adam Invitationals, these exhibition matches, where that could deter you. Maybe it's taking so much of your time. You're doing all these events because people want to bring in Rawri, right? They want to bring him in because people want to see you in person and all that. Have you thought about that in the future? Like, you may have to choose between those two because you can only drive so many events. Like you said, you only have so much money. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm only on my own dime, I'm going to continue on this path forward. But if another opportunity pops up, I'll definitely, I'll take it into account.
Right.
But yeah, I just want to drive. Overall, that's the main dream, is just to go out there, drive with some of the best drivers, if not the best, and have fun.
Yeah.
Now, this is a hypothetical, I guess you can say, but it's based on rumors that a certain series that's pretty well known throughout Europe may be extending themselves over to other parts of the world. That series being Drift Masters. And obviously, you've mentioned already that you want to drive with some of the best. And if, let's say, they do make the announcement that they will branch out over to the States, obviously then that could weigh heavily now, like what Tim was saying, on where your path is going to go, because you could still continue on with the path that it takes you with Formula Drift. But if, let's say, for instance, in the whole grand scheme of things of the sort of the announcement taking place, and again, the hypothetical of then all of a sudden these drivers are you were looking forward to driving with, they now go towards this other series. Are you going to follow along, or do you still want to maintain the same route?
I'm definitely not locked in to any series at this point. If something just pops up and it sounds like that's the new thing,
right,
I might, shift gears a little bit towards that. Drift Masters I've been following a lot, at least in the last year. Those guys are incredible.
Yes.
Amazing drivers. I would love to see them head-to-head against Formula Drift drivers and see who are the best in the world. Mm-hmm. It just seems like there's so much talent on their series. It would be pretty hard to pass up if, something were to happen. Mm-hmm. But, Formula Drift still is
the premier
in the U.S., and I'm in the U.S., so that's definitely still the main goal right now.
Yeah. No, that's smart. And it kind of reminds me of like when UFC had UFC and Pride. It almost seems like what that might come down to, right? You have these two Drift Masters is just, they have a lot of momentum right now. One thing that we were talking about, actually me and my brother were talking about, when it comes to Drift Masters, and what also kind of makes it different from Formula Drift is, I don't believe there's a licensing series for Drift Masters, right?
I forgot to follow up on that.
Yeah, I don't think there is.
I don't know, but
I'm actually not sure.
Adam LZ just went over there and drove and didn't qualify, so
true.
I don't know.
So what we were talking about, and maybe you can give me your take on this, is that with Drift Masters coming over here, right? With Formula Drift, there's a structure to it, right? You have to run a Pro-Am, and then you get your license. You still have to petition once you get your Pro-Am license. Like, it's not a guaranteed in. But with Drift Masters, it's almost like it's a pay-to-play, is what my brother was saying the other day. It's pay-to-play. You're going to qualify everybody anyways. You're going to weed everybody on qualifying. So obviously they have to pass tech. The cars have to pass tech. But basically you just pay-to-play. Could that put a wrench into Formula Drift when they come over here? Basically anybody could just show up and drive as long as they have a car that can compete. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know, but that's how it is right now.
Yeah, I think you do need to lower the barrier of entry. Even Pro-Am. Pro-Am there is a lot. It's kind of limitless in a lot of things. Like, for example, the smart car would not work in Prospec. Right. They won't let you.
Right.
It's got to be like 2,700 pounds, and the smart car is like 1,500 pounds. So I'd have to add ballast. But in Pro-Am, I could put a 1,000 horsepower smart car if I wanted.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the unlimited class.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Lowering the barrier of entry, I think, is a good idea. Regardless, you want more people to get in the sport. If you want your series to grow, you need more people to want to, go through the funnel to get into this, to eventually pro.
Yeah, because Formula Drift seems like they made it so difficult now. You used to just run Pro-Am and then you go pro. Now you have Pro-Am, Prospec, and then not only do you have to build a car for Prospec, you get from Prospec and you move to Pro. Now you got to build the car again, or at least rebuild the car.
Right. Yeah, 1,300 horsepower is no joke.
No.
I think I see both sides of that to a certain degree. It's something I've thought about for a long time. Let's say you wanted to start a team, and let's say you were on the level of Penske, Andretti, and Ganassi, something like that. You're not going to hire somebody who can't drive your car. You don't want your car stuffed in the first wall. Mm-hmm. So why have a licensing process for the driver? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think it also it kind of maintains more of that grassroots level to a certain degree, to kind of keep drifting fun. Mm. I'm not really sure, honestly, which one is better, because I think I think to involve more big dollar sponsors, I think let anybody come in and start a team, show up with a huge stacker trailer, a handful of them, but that's not just going to happen overnight. And both sides are growing. I don't really follow Drift Masters that much,
right?
So I don't know if that is, and then again, that's based on if that is the case, that there is no licensing.
Right.
It's basically just hey, if you can get here and afford to do it, and obviously, like you said, there's a qualifying process at each event. So I'm not sure how well that's working out for Drift Masters. But yeah, if they are, I kind of feel stupid at the moment for not knowing anything about so they are planning to expand into North America next year? Or
yes.
in the next
Actually, do you have that post?
I don't have
you
a
don't
post,
have it?
but
Okay.
this is all speculation and
There's a lot of speculation, right? Well,
kind of out of the loop, just
But how does
keeping up with
D1
day-to-day business.
How does D1 currently do it for people to get into D1?
That's a good question.
I almost feel like it's people show up and they just qualify or they don't qualify.
So, and here's another thing. Like, I understand the process of vetting drivers, right? You don't want to just give somebody a pro license and compete that doesn't have the skill. So you use a vetting process. Proam, Prospec. By the time they get through Prospec, they got their stuff together. Not only do they have their stuff together as a driver, but also they have a team. But still, what percentage of Formula Drift pro drivers show up and drive, and what percentage are actually guys that own their own car? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's still a lot of Formula Drift pro drivers that they're not driving somebody else's car, they're driving their own car and they're putting their own money into the car. Like RTR, right? Like Chelsea, he went from his BMW to just show up and drive.
Right.
That's a tremendous advantage as a driver than where he was in the BMW. So that's where with the Drift Masters, it's just basically you run what you brung and you pay to play. We'll see what happens.
Well, there's another example that we're familiar with, and clutch kickers, where no licensing series.
Right.
You just bring whatever you have.
It worked out well,
and then compete. So
well, maybe not.
There is that is an example to utilize to say like, hey, without a licensing series, this could work. It's just trying to see like having the qualifying, the judging criteria high enough to weed out the weak links out of the competition, so that way then you have like the best of the best going at it. Sure, there were oftentimes cases where it's like, how did he get into the competition? But that's for the battles to figure it out.
Yeah, and you see a lot of people times they bypass and they petition their way in. We've seen that in the past.
Well, I guess it can also kind of protect the smaller teams to a certain degree because, if you're one of the top teams, it's not a big deal if some guy comes in that's not that experienced and just, goes right inside of your car and your car's half totaled. Yeah. But if you're one of the smaller guys, like, there aren't insurance policies that just pay you out $30,000 to rebuild your car.
Yeah.
So, the vetting process is important for sure. And, yeah, I don't know. That's a really interesting discussion.
And it's interesting now as the next seasons are starting to approach, as drifting is continuing to evolve. Drift Masters had that massive showing. That was 60 in Poland, and 60,000 people?
55.
50-something thousand people show up, and it was just like, it got Formula Drift's attention. Now, where Formula Drift, we were mentioning this, it may not be true, Formula Drift was like, they set the bar. With that event and Drift Masters now, it's almost like Formula Drift is like, and I could be wrong, but I've heard a couple rumors and things that maybe Ryan Sage said that is making them like, okay, we got to do something different. So now when I hear stuff like that, I'm thinking Formula Drift no longer is the setting the bar anymore. Now it's Drift Masters making the big guy Formula Drift being like, okay, we got to do something.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't have to worry about it.
Always good.
Huh?
I think competition is always good, whether it's in a business, and it is a business either way. But yeah, when you see something somebody else is doing that's potentially better, then adjust your model and try and grow.
Pushes innovation, right? It pushes change and adaptation. So I think it could be good. I like the way Drift Masters kind of handles the competition, how they speed up everything. Yes. So if that causes Formula Drift to make the same changes, and I think it's for the better good. So
for sure. Yeah, like as long as it's not like a thing where Formula Drift's like Nokia and Apple is the incumbent.
Oh, wow.
Like hopefully if there is a threat, they should be acting upon it ASAP, not 10 years down the line.
Right. They're going to make those changes, say, okay, we're going to adapt. And like you said, though, that with Drift Masters coming in, it's going to push drifting into a new direction. We've long talked about the gravedigger effect, right? When monster trucks when they first started doing monster trucks, it was more of a race. There was big and open field, and they would race, not too many people watching. Made the track smaller, made the trucks a little crazier, put them in a stadium, and now what? Everyone wants to go see monster trucks.
Right. Yeah, what was the series that was in Japan where they had, what was it, Kazama?
The Drift Muscle?
The shows where they had the dirt bikes. And
Drift Extreme.
Drift Extreme.
Oh, man.
Okay.
So we could talk a lot about this.
Something like that would be
I kind of don't want to step on anybody's toes
okay.
in the conversation. I don't know. I think everybody's got their business model, and I don't want to tell anybody how they should be running their thing, because you don't know what's going on inside of somebody's business.
We step on toes here. We're fine.
No, I mean you just don't know what's going on behind closed doors, what people are trying to do. But I definitely think the Nitro Circus or Monster Jam model is probably a better model. It's an entertainment package, and just keep people entertained. And it's better for the sponsors too, because the more people that are, as they say, like, butts in seats, are more people with eyes on products, eyes on the cars, eyes on the sponsors, and then the sponsors on the cars can sell more. So, I'd rather see, it's a big leap to get from where Formula Drift is, I think, to where like NASCAR is. That's just two hugely disparate, levels, I think. But, it can happen. And so I tell this to sponsor inquiries sometimes. I say, you want to have Doritos, M&Ms, Pepsi on your car,
and
you want to, and you want to be buying the best stuff possible to put in your car. So like the components that are in the engines in a NASCAR engine, it's like they're all generally being sold to those teams. The teams are out there buying the best stuff they can to make their car the fastest. But then it's difficult, because how do you just pull many millions of dollars out of thin air in order to pay the teams? Like when you're looking at the NASCAR level, I think last place still pays out many thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Or if you're finishing like at least 30th or something.
Right.
So that's a whole nother thing, is like if 30th is getting paid several $1,000s, they can still afford to be at the next round.
Right.
So, and honestly, the whole NASCAR model, I'm not that familiar with. I know that it did change a lot with the new car, because now the new car, it's basically a spec car. And now the backrunner teams can afford to, they can compete with the front running guys, because they all literally run in the same equipment now. The chassis are completely identical.
Right.
All you can do is make suspension adjustments. So it's like basically driver change, and you can be running at the front. You can be like a no-name team.
Yeah.
And you get a good driver in for a couple weekends, and you're putting some serious points on the board.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that argument there goes to the, look, if you want to get these Ganassi, Penske level teams, or teams like that, I mean, I feel like RTR is definitely approaching.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That, and a couple of the other top guys as well. So, and I'm sure that's their goal, to be there. But yeah, where they're not gonna just choose some clown off the street to put in the car.
Right.
So they're gonna find somebody that they're vetting on their own, regardless of what their background is. If they find somebody, look at the World Rally Champion right now. What is his name?
You have to tell me, because I don't.
Kalle Rovanperä.
Right, the 2-time, right?
Yeah, he shows up in. Is he? Don't spoil it. I don't know yet. I don't know this season. I haven't been following enough.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this much. He's in Drift Masters as well. So he's doing like double duty.
And he was in FD Japan, and he
right
murdered. It was insane. That guy is like an AI.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure Formula Drift would allow Kalle to come take part in the event. Because they do have the is it the waiver process, or what do they call it?
The petition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure if Max Verstappen wants to come drive a Formula Drift round, they'll let him.
Oh yeah,
probably.
Red Bull did like a drift demo thing with him. Actually, they had Mike Mike doing coaching with him, and he did really good after like 5 minutes.
Nice.
But I mean, okay, that's a world class driver.
Right.
He can adapt.
He's just having fun at that point.
Yeah,
it's nowhere near as stressful as what he's used to. So that brings up another point too, is when we've talked about in the past, and you're mentioning earlier that 235 tire width limitation, but also spec classing drifting. We talked about a lot of times, it's a run what you brung, and you see a big disparage in horsepower a lot of times. Not so much in Formula Drift anymore. It used to be, but I think now it's a little more even. But in these other events, you got guys at 1,000 or 1,200 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower, and you have guys 400 horsepower.
It's funny. I saw Takayama at SEMA just last week. And speaking of kind of the David versus Goliath, remember the Sam Hubinette versus him at Atlanta? Like, what was it, 3 one more times? And it was whatever it was back then, a 300 horsepower car versus an 800 horsepower car.
Yeah, it's a whole nother game now, though. Like, you watch Formula Drift, first, second, third seasons, and you're just like, is that even Pro-Am capable? Like, are they even Pro-Am worthy anymore?
Right.
One thing I will tell you is, at least in Florida, OSW, which we're going to be going to OSW this weekend, that it has played a huge part in keeping the drifting, keeping it growing is what I'm saying in Florida, because we lost all our tracks down south. PBR now is sold. Chris Jackson's using Sebring, which is a fun track, but that's not really South Florida. It's almost as far as going to OSW, but OSW has done a great job at keeping the drift scene not just alive but thriving. I don't know if you've been to an OSW event lately, but there are a ton of people. We're actually going to live stream the King of OSW this weekend, and I think he gets, how many drivers does he get? He caps
for
it.
the competition.
No, for the weekend.
Oh, for the weekend, about 100.
Yeah, that's a lot of freaking drivers. We got 30 people at County Line back in the day. We're like, wow.
Yeah.
So it's changed a lot. So it's really interesting to see how Drift Masters is now challenging Formula Drift, how that's going to affect Formula Drift, and what is Formula Drift going to do to change? What do you think they can do?
I don't know, but talking about change is one of the things I wanted to ask Sean, who, you say you don't really follow drifting as much as you used to anymore.
I'm a little bit out of the loop. I follow Formula Drift pretty closely every season. So,
but I guess my question that I was going to go towards is that being in part involved in the drifting community for as long as you have, what are some of the positives and negatives that you've seen transpire from when you started to now?
Tough question. Honestly, I don't really know of any negatives. Just personal opinion, I don't really like the big smoke, to be honest. I wish you could see more of what's going on with the cars. I feel like it hides mistakes, makes it difficult for the judging. So I'm not really sure when that started. I feel like Daigo was definitely a point where the big smoke became a thing.
Yeah, when he came over to the States, yes.
Yeah, and 1,000 horsepower cars became a thing. I remember probably around 2010 or so, there was somebody had an Aristo. I remember this video that came out of Japan, and he was able to link a straightaway. Like, he came off of a turn and linked all the way down the straightaway and into the next turn. And I was just like, oh my God.
Right.
And then within a couple of years, that was in pro level drifting. When you go back and it's crazy if you go back and look at these videos. Like one of the ones that always stands out to me was like Nomu Ken and Tanaka at Motegi, I think it was, or no, Tsukuba.
Okay.
And that famous D1 course they ran there. It's like, you watch that video now, almost no smoke. You're like, where's the tire smoke? And it's still very good drifting. So I don't know if it's possible to get back to that level. I've talked with talked with Chelsea about this, about it'd be interesting if somebody developed a tire that's more like a WRC tire that doesn't smoke so much, and you could, like a tarmac tire they use in WRC. I mean, some of the longest tarmac stages are over 100 kilometers. Mm-hmm. So I mean, still they're not spinning it the way a drift car is. They're not doing wheel speeds that are 100 miles an hour over the car speed. Mm-hmm. So it'd be interesting, though, if there was a spec tire that didn't smoke as much. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, the 300 treadwear stuff from the clips I've seen, it looks easier to judge and just kind of more fun.
Yeah.
Just take the focus away from the grip a little bit.
It's everybody's grip. I mean, we know a couple drivers, one in particular, that's just more grip. And we're like, Yeah, and there's a what do you say? There's a like a tactic, not tactic, but basically when you go into qualifying, you don't need all the grip, right? And we find a lot of these drivers, they just get something locked in their head. They're so laser focused on one thing that they're missing. And Chelsea talks about this. Like, you can loosen the car a little, qualify it, loosen it up a little bit, take it easy. Nobody's measuring your speed. You're not out there with anybody else, so there's no reference for speed.
Well, remember everybody told us we were idiots for using BMWs back in the day. Like, you need a Nissan. What are you doing? And like I didn't even realize, back in whatever it was, like 04, I didn't realize I was driving like the secret weapon.
Yeah,
the E36. I'm like, why does this thing have so much rear grip? I'm like, I put the biggest rear bar I could find on it. I'm like, get rid of the rear grip like this. And I'm like, still, I'm setting like fastest entry speed with 200 and whatever horsepower. Like uphill in Atlanta. I remember that, and it was And I was focused on angle, and it's like, as it developed, it's like, wow, like, that rear grip is amazing. Those cars have.
Yeah.
But even like, still today when I talk to customers that are coming from other platforms, I say, you either need to dial out the rear grip or you need to really commit to tons of throttle, at least with the BMWs.
Yeah.
But now, with the other platforms, with getting the roll center correction and everything built in, just geometry correction, that's a huge change in drifting in the last 10 years, I would say. So, actually had a really interesting conversation a couple years ago with Stewie Bryant.
Okay.
You know him?
No, I don't know him personally, no.
Inertial Motorsport in Australia.
Okay.
And yeah, he was kind of anti trying to always add more grip, and more on the side of like keep drifting fun. And and he's got a business as well. And I said, well, I agree, keep drifting fun, but still, let's fix the geometry. Let's make the cars better. Let's make the cars perform better, because that's what people want. And if they want to buy the best product that's going to make the car handle better, perform better, that's what you need to provide to the customer.
Well, and to be able to design products that can make it easier for the driver to dial that in and out. Like, okay, I have my grip set up. Or I have, I don't want so much grip. I don't have to like guess. I'm going to go at this track. I'm going to qualify. I'm going to change the setup quickly. And I'm going to qualify, and then I'm going to change it for competition to grip it up and be able to make those changes on the fly.
I designed an adjustable R-tab for these cars, the 36 and the 46, the rear trailing arm bucket. Yeah, it'd be very easy to adjust the forward bite with an adjustable bucket. It had like a threaded setup.
I'm going to be buying stuff from you. Okay, stop. I'm going to be buying more stuff from you. Don't worry about it, Sean. I designed it. From me. Don't worry.
I designed it, and it was banned.
Well, it was immediately. Do you still have it, though?
It's difficult to do. But I mean, you can modify the platform to do it. But yeah, if you want to be legal with, Prospec, you're right.
I could care less. I'm just going out there to have a good time, do some fun stuff. So I may hit you up for that later on.
Nah, you don't want grip. Remember, keep drifting fun.
Well, whatever it is, whatever you just my car is a guinea pig. I already got the SLR stuff on the front.
People flip the R tabs to make these things have less grip.
Really?
Yeah, it's terrible.
So pardon my ignorance, but when a customer comes up to you and is looking to buy some products, do you offer like consulting in a sense of, do you tell them like, these are the settings that you need to adjust or apply in order to be able to extract the highest performance out of this particular product that you're selling over to them?
Yeah, I mean, I offer as much advice as I can. We have videos that are linked on the website as well with drivers that have a lot more experience than I do with setups, that are more current to what people are looking for out there. So, I try to give as much feedback as I can. It's so dependent per driver though as well. Experience level, what engine are you running? What tires are you running? I mean, all that stuff is, it's like so dependent and interdependent on every other thing. So, how much rear toe do you want to run? What are you comfortable with? So, but yeah, as much advice as I can. I definitely. I don't know which camera to look at.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I have a question for you, Sean. Are your sleep habits better than they used to be?
As in actually sleeping?
Yeah.
No, I do sleep now.
Oh, okay.
I got old.
Yeah. So one of the things is like probably one of the fondest memories is people having to wake Sean up in line because he'd be sleeping before he has to drive down the track.
Okay, that goes way back.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I know.
Wow, that's Hialeah.
Yeah, wake him up. Wake him up.
They got bulldozed, what, like 15 years ago?
Yeah, well, hey.
Oh, come on. You know how that is? Like 2 all-nighters before race day, and
but I think that's one of my favorite memories.
well, Harry blew up that engine in that old 5 Series the night with a demo the night before at Hialeah, and then but yeah, seriously, it's like it wouldn't be a drift event if there wasn't an all-nighter the night before.
I'm trying to avoid that. I'm too old for that. I'm too old for that.
Right? Yeah. Who cares about preparation?
No, well, I do my prep months in advance. And,
exactly. Now I'm like, if I'm not prepared, I'm not going.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And that's the thing. There are a lot of times I've been at an event and I'm like, that's broken. Could I bust my butt? Nah. I'll just put it on the trailer. I'm good. Put it on the trailer. We're good. We had fun. We had some time.
Back when I started the company, I wrecked the E36 twice in the same weekend.
You still have that car?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
The original one?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Looking at
great.
this
I
morning.
actually just did a video on it today. So, yeah, I wrecked it Friday night at PBIR.
Okay.
Like testing out backies. Did a sick backy. Also took the front end off the car. And fixed it Saturday, and then went and crashed it again on... I didn't crash it, I guess. I blew it up at County Line that Sunday. Mm-hmm. So...
yeah, I still remember the information. Well, actually, one of the last times I saw you run was at County Line.
Yeah.
And it was the second left. Now, I don't remember we had the piano keys set up, but I remember you went in with one of the most aggressive entries out of anybody that was out there. And we're like, this guy's a man. What is he doing? And the way how he just went off track was so spectacular that we feared for your life. We were immediately trying to get the ambulance to like go off and get you because we thought the worst had happened. And next thing you know, you're just driving back like as if like nothing happened. I'm just like, what is going on over
It's funny,
here?
I still
Nothing is making
remember
sense.
that weekend so clearly. Hood pins is the first thing to mention for that weekend. You caught the hood flipped up on the trailer, folded in half, cracked the windshield. So
You didn't make it to the event, you're already popping.
Exactly, blew the hood off on the trailer, and then I changed wheels at the track, and I didn't change the rack stops. And what was happening was I was trying to huck huge angle coming in, and I needed to add more rack stops so the tire wouldn't like wedge against the frame rail.
Yeah.
And so I was just throwing it big, and as soon as I would go to full lock, the tire would like lock against the frame rail, and it was like straight off track.
Yeah, that's what happened to me when John. Remember when John slammed in front of me? I spun. I hucked it, and I had this gnarly like 5-foot strand of aluminum because my wheel hit the bracket.
You just machined the side of the wheel.
The inside of the wheel. And then John slammed into me. I remember there's a picture that we have me and you side by side looking at my car. I'm just like, and you're just like, that was
Was I asleep?
No, you're awake. You're awake.
Every picture.
I mean, you fooled me if you were, but yeah, that's funny. Good memories.
So what? I don't know how much you want to divulge, but do you want to kind of explain like what sort of support you're providing to Rawri over here? Are you going to be basically pit side along Rawri at the events, or are you trying to just help him with the build of this Mercedes? Like, do you want to like go into detail in regards to what level of support that you're going to be providing?
Yeah, what level of support are you providing?
Oh, we're negotiating on camera now.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so basically, it's actually a platform that I really believe in.
Okay.
I have one myself, so might end up being like a backup car or something. But it's a really good platform, actually. And I would like to develop some parts for this platform and encourage people to use these as alternatives to other vehicles. So a lot of people think it's a really bizarre, out there platform. It's not all that different to a C-Class, to be honest. Mercedes uses a lot of kind of cut and paste suspension layout across their whole lineup. So, yeah, the rear suspension's really good. The front suspension's double A-arm. Gives you some options with angle kits. When you don't have a strut, you could basically do whatever control arms you want, upper and lower. Potentially, you can move the wheel out 3 feet on each side if you wanted to be crazy, and do whatever you want for angle clearance, because you're not limited by the pickup point. You know, always adding more and more camber as you put a longer and longer control arm on it. That'll be a loophole that gets closed after this, right? We have 1 million followers here, or what? So, but yeah, so you can pick these cars up for stupidly cheap. To be honest, people are so scared of the suspension problems, and the retractable hardtop isn't as big of a deal, but I think it's kind of a little bit of a hidden gem car. Maybe this will help get the word out there. But when we start releasing some products for it, and that's going to be part of it. So really, the developing of the products for his car is going to be, completely on me. And hopefully come out with a good, series of parts for these things.
So you'll be able to buy the exact parts that'll be on my car.
Oh,
So
well, that's
again,
good.
there's nothing hidden here.
That's
You
gonna
can
be
build the
interesting.
exact same car if you want.
It's good. And actually, for anybody that would perhaps cast any sort of doubt into this build, they're gonna have a hard time because, I mean, Sean was with one of the most competitive cars chassis long before it became known as a competitive chassis. So if he's standing behind it, I mean, it may be something that maybe people will now explore. So, good job, Sean.
Because I already outed myself as not knowing that the E36 was a secret weapon back when I started. But no, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of potential in these.
And at like auctions, you can get these for like a couple $1,000s running still, just with blown ABC suspension, air suspension that they have on it. So they toss it as a total, like a totaled car once the suspension goes out. So you're spending $1,500, $2,000 totally running car, throw some coilovers on it, and it's pretty fast. Even like the SL500 is not that bad, but the 55 it's a fast car, and we used to drive it. It's
it's a 5.5 liter factory supercharged V8. Was it 550 horsepower and just as much torque? I think. We've got customers that have like 800 horsepower with basic bolt-ons and a pulley. One of my customers runs 9s, and the car is nearly full weight.
Wow.
And full weight is like 4,200 pounds on these cars.
That car weight, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah, I've got a picture of him with the front tires off the ground, leaving the hole. And I'm like, oh my God. So I tried to talk him out of doing the Hemi swap, actually. I said the 5.5 Mercedes motor makes plenty of power. They'll take a lot of abuse. But
mine blew up. So stock.
Yeah.
Lost faith.
I think it's stuck in an injector or something, and hydrolocked the cylinder or something like that.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of aftermarket though for that engine that you chose to put in.
Right.
absolutely.
What are you doing with regards to the transmission?
That's the one thing is the only bolt-on transmission, manual transmission for these is I think it's the Chrysler Crossfire, and it's like made of glass. So you put 500 pound-feet of torque, and it's a lot of gears on the ground. So
that was also a determining factor.
Actually,
You could make like a custom plate to mount it, but
I sent a bell housing out to Brett Collins over at Collins Adapters, and he already did the 3D scan on it and is developing a swap kit. So it'll either be is it CD09, the Nissan?
That's what I got in this.
Yeah, either a CD09 or Tremec TR6060.
Okay.
that's what I have on the Hellcat.
So
Okay.
yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be available for customer builds, but Hellcat swap is
Probably not what most people are going to get.
Yeah.
a lot more was involved in that than I realized. It is such a huge engine. I had no idea. I thought it was basically like a small block. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like an LS with a supercharger on top.
Not so much.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's going to stick like this far out of the hood. Just like-
That's fine though.
Oh, wow.
That'll look aggressive. You can do like a whole cowl induction hood.
Yeah, I'm raising the hood a little bit probably as well.
We're talking to Bryce, right? And Bryce was saying that he's like, that motor. I've seen that car before. That motor's going to stick out of there because it's a big motor. There's
Yeah.
no way that motor's not sticking out of the hood.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can see a lot of these guys have this massive filter out, like Savio with Drift HQ. I mean, he's got that massive air filter sticking outside of the hood, so I
Right.
don't see why that'd be a problem.
Yeah, just visually, I didn't really want it to be sticking out of the hood, but I think with a few adjustments, it'll look still okay.
Yeah, do the whole shaker style. Isn't that the whole Dodge theme? Right, they used to do the whole shaker hoods.
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
yeah.
I just thought of another question. Top up or top down when you're going sideways, sir?
I've thought about it. Yeah, at least it gives us. There's an option. At least I'm gonna keep it so you can just remove a few bolts and take the whole top off.
Halfway. Air brakes.
Genius.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Air e-brake.
Yeah, right, air
Air
breaker. That'd be interesting. So for those people out there that are following you, and you did mention that you had a much more positive feedback than you actually were expecting, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Those that are following you, how many of those people are looking to copy you as far as how you're developing your programming? Because you're not just giving them a spreadsheet, you're also guiding them in the process of how to build a program, correct?
Yeah. So for one of the parts, I did like a full budget breakdown with schedule showing what I do each year, how much everything costs, including what marketing costs and things like that. And those have already been downloaded a few hundred times. So people are finding some value in that. And asking me questions about that spreadsheet all the time. And I've been making small changes here and there. But yeah, I think my goal is to just get more people into the sport. And I think it's at least a step in the right direction so far.
Sean, have you got a chance to check out the spreadsheet? Can you validate some of the numbers?
I looked at it briefly.
And I've had some pros and Prospec drivers already look at it. And they don't think it's unrealistic. And I also got shown someone else's spreadsheet, which was about half of this. And they ran Prospec on it. So I think it's not terribly unrealistic. Okay. I think someone could at least use it as sort of a guideline to get them there.
I made a spreadsheet for one of my cars I built one time, and I regretted it.
Yeah.
I don't. I just spend it and just forget it. You just spend
don't total it up.
No, you'll be depressed.
Oh, God, I could have bought a house.
That's what a few comments have said. Just go buy a house. But then I'm just sitting in my house going like this.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'm 80 years old, and then I'm dead.
Right.
After that, regretting things. So I'd rather go for something while you're still young and you can still do it.
Take advantage now before the robots take over.
Right.
So looking
story.
and watching, I'm sure you're seeing, who's out there competing, right? And kind of, looking at who's your possible competition out there, right? Is there anybody that you've watched so far, either in Proam, Prospec, or even Pro, that you feel like I would really like to just drive against them, or just drive with them, or something, anything like that?
Well, I really wanted to eventually drive with Chelsea, but he's not an FD anymore. So.
Yeah. But you can still drive with him. Maybe
still driving. There's other events and there's other things. He's not like he's dead. He's going to do a bunch of other cool stuff. Ben Hobson is really interesting driver. I don't know. Is he going to Pro next year, or is he staying in Prospec?
So that is a debate. I don't know if he's released that, has he?
No, he hasn't.
But that was a discussion when we were after because we do the live streams for the LS Fest, and that was one of the things we're talking about. Is like, man, what are you going to do next? Well, actually, we were at we were throwing axes. Remember?
Yes.
And that was one of the questions. Like, what are you going to do? He's like, man, I got a lot of thinking to do, because
he killed it.
He killed it. I mean, he just destroyed everybody, right? So does he make the step up now, or does he just kind of hang in the pocket? And I think there was conversation, both, valid points on both ends of the conversation. I think a lot of us were saying he should just stay where he's at for another year, because that next step up it's a serious step.
But he seems to have good marketing, good team, everything. So he probably could make the step right now, like easily.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
He just dominated. He dominated Prospec. So I would take the momentum and go. Don't be a Dimitri Bruschi and hang out there too long. And then lose your relevance.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
No, personal. I'm just watching.
No, I didn't think of it that way. Actually, you're right, because Dimitri was just slaying people. He didn't make the move up, and it kind of just like faded off. So actually, that's a really good point. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. And then if I think just in terms of drivers that I'd like to drive with, my favorite driver is Nobuteru Taniguchi. Amazing driver. Probably the smoothest driver in the world still. So I'd love to drive with him at some point, someday. He still drives to this day. Tons of crazy cars. But he's usually just testing out other people's D1 cars. And then like Kawabata would be pretty cool to drive with, because he's just insane. But those aren't in the U.S. So you never know what the future holds.
Yeah, maybe they just fly you out there and say, we're going to bring Rawri over here and we're going to drive with them. Right now, you are doing a great job marketing yourself, setting yourself up for those opportunities, and that's why I said,
thank you.
You have the goal, and it's different than what we've seen before, right? This hidden identity, the whole mask thing you got going on there, marketing yourself in such a way that you don't know what in a year and a half or 2 years from now, you could be in a total different direction than you were originally planning, and you're going to have to follow those opportunities as they go. So it's going to be exciting to watch you progress and seeing what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what the journey holds in the next couple of years, like you said, but I don't see anything negative about it. I think so far it's been really, really positive, and there's a lot of changes in the drifting world happening for sure in the next couple of years. So I definitely don't want to wait any longer. So I'm jumping in as soon as I can.
Yeah.
And what happens, happens. Even if I blow all the money at the end, I had a blast and probably still have 2 cars.
Yeah, you can still drive.
I can still go out and have fun.
Maybe go out to like takeovers with your Hellcat engine,
Right.
and do like evangelistic and try to get them to come to drifting events and try to bring more Hellcats out. Or you could join Mo Party, right?
Oh!
The Mo Party Fest that Holly does.
Actually, that is interesting because you could go out to Mo Party and they would probably love to have you out there. We haven't been out today. We've been to LS Fest and Ford Fest, but we haven't been to Mo Party yet.
Yeah, someone invited me to go out to Mopar Fest.
Oh, there you go.
And I could go with their crew.
Right.
To show.
Is it technically a Mopar? Because the whole Daimler Chrysler?
I don't know.
It's not a non-manufacturer swap.
You're going above my head now. I don't know.
I don't know.
It was a Hellcat. It has Dodge on it, right?
Exactly. Sean, does it bother you when you take the time to develop and build and sell a part only for it to then be banned shortly thereafter?
We never really got that one into action. It was just a design, and before we decided to fully build it, we ran it by Kevin, and he said nope. So we're like, well, that's the end of that.
Right, but you haven't been into a situation like that where you've built, design, and released a product, and then next thing you know, you're getting emails saying, this doesn't work anymore.
No, we haven't been in the situation where something's been banned, something directly that we made. So
that was like in the very beginning, like when WiseFab had that whole ban. Remember that?
Oh, where they had the FD legal kits, I guess.
Yeah,
or they had to modify it in order to be legal. Yeah, that was just the strut tower thing. And that's kind of interesting because different cars have different sizes of bolt patterns up there. So it's like you might have a car that unfortunately has a really tight bolt pattern. Then you might have like the Camaros that have like a dinner plate size bolt pattern at the top. It's like, I could put a 5-inch longer control arm on this car and just move the strut out with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of those loopholes. It's like, I don't know if it's worth closing or not. There's ways around all these things. You can do multiple pivots and stuff. So
interesting.
Yeah, I've just always been curious because the WiseFab thing was just
that was a long time ago. Yeah, once upon a time.
Yeah, it could still happen.
Yeah, of course. The week after I ordered my WiseFab, this guy says, "Hey, do you want to test a kit on a E30?" I'm like, dude, like really? Like literally the week after.
That's
I ordered
true
a
story,
WiseFab. Huh?
Yeah, totally true story. I remember that.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's on the way. And I was like, cancel. Cancel. I'll send you one right now.
It's like, dude, like you could have just came out a little sooner with that. That would have been nice.
That's bizarre, actually. I mean, there's a lot of examples of that in history, like people inventing the same thing at the same time. And I think what it really comes down to is people are looking at the same other things that are happening in their industry. And so they end up having some of the same ideas. But I remember telling Paul about wanting to come up with that design. 2000.
Can you clarify? Sorry to cut you off, but can you clarify which Paul? Because we have a Paul right here.
Not this
sorry.
Paul.
Yeah, Piner.
Piner.
Oh, okay.
Piner Paul. Or Paul at Lusky. Machine Gun Man now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I remember telling him when I had the shop out by Moroso or PBIR or whatever name, no longer existing track. yeah, I was under the car and I was like, it'd be really cool to machine a piece of aluminum that went right here and brought your steering point back. And I was like, it would also add roll center correction, which wouldn't be a bad thing to have. But I was like, nobody in drifting will care about that. But yeah, so when I finally did it, whatever it was, 3 years later, I just had no idea about machine work or anything. I worked with machines at Mosler Engineering, but I knew how to run a lathe and a CNC or a mill, not a CNC mill, but literally the first parts were basically like napkin drawings. And it's like it was on grid paper, I think, but went to a machinist and I was like, hey, can you make this for me? And I didn't even know how to use like a proper CAD program back then. I was using like free downloaded CAD stuff and drawing stuff up. And and then it just became what it was.
And how times have changed.
I'll say, what was the question? ADHD. You gotta get a butterflies in here.
Yeah, it was something along the lines of if you gone to have the experience of building and developing a product, you release it, and then all of a sudden it gets banned, and then it doesn't become pretty much marketable or
basically all that work for nothing. Yeah.
Well, it was when Tim mentioned how he ended up buying a WiseFab kit a week before I offered one of the early prototype test kits.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, it's interesting. You see that a lot in industries. There was another company, I think, out of Norway called PB Motorsport. And I think they're no longer around, or they've transitioned into doing like roll cages and race cars and stuff. But they had an angle kit that came out. All of us were within like a couple months of each other back in end of 2010, I think.
Yeah, I remember the PB kit.
Mid-fall 2010 or something. All of these kits hit the market. And it just felt like there was a need for it. I made some posts on Beamer forums. I was doing custom knuckles for people back then, and I felt like there was a market to be filled. I said, would you guys be interested in this? These are parts that, I've run on my car and Chelsea's run on his car. Because we had the custom knuckles on his two-time XDC car, the two-time championship car. And, it just grew into what it is. But that's wild how just... all over the world, people come up with the same idea at the same time. I have an idea. Sometimes I'll search it on Google, and it's like, somebody got to it. Got to it last week.
There's a need. More than one person sees the need, and actually, probably thousands of people probably see the need, but don't have the ability to develop the parts for that. And so, the handful of guys that do, you're right. A lot of times, you see the same part come out at the same time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, now there's angle kits, all kinds of angle kits. Now, angle kit is part of your initial drift car purchase.
That's an interesting one. Right? So I used to advise customers that I don't advise getting an angle kit first. Do small angle, stuff like how we learned.
Right.
Like rack spacers and basic upgrades and stuff, and learn car control as much as you can before doing that. And there was actually a customer and driving instructor who I had a conversation with, and he said, I actually do recommend people get an angle kit early on. And I said, what's your reasoning for that? I'm basically here, I'm telling people not to buy my product. I'm like, no, why do you think it is? And he said, honestly, when they have more window to save the car from a spin out, they learn a lot faster. He said in their first couple events, they can learn so much more, but they'll realize when they've over rotated the car, and they'll be able to bring it back and realize, okay, that was a screw up. I won't do that on the next turn. But their run isn't over. They can finish the lap.
That's interesting.
And I'm like, that's actually a really good point. So when you have a bigger window, to learn within, he said the learning curve is just greatly increased.
Wow!
Shout out to Yoshi, by the way.
Oh wow! That's us old guy. Hey, when I was starting to drift, I only had one hand. Yeah. Well, I is there anything else you want to talk about? You want to go over?
I got a couple of.
Oh, okay.
I'm just really interested with some of the.
Yeah, you got your focus now.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Where do you? So, how do you get inspired to build some of these parts? Is it something where you're looking at a car and you see a potential problem that you think like, oh, this could be a good solution, or this could be a marketable solution where there's a market for it, or is it something where with your vast amounts of customers that obviously are in motorsports, they're coming to you and saying like, hey, have you thought about doing this? And can you build it for me?
Yeah, it's just basically, we have a niche market, and it's trying to identify weak points in cars that need some aftermarket part to address an issue. I mean, for the most part, we're focusing on steering angle. So most factory cars do not have a whole lot of steering angle. The Corvette being a really good example of that. There's so much potential to increase the capability of that car just by adding steering angle. And then, there's some of the platforms are a lot harder to, like the FRS, for example, is a lot more difficult to get the same angle or the same performance out of that car compared to like an E36 or a Corvette or, many other cars.
Wow, so you're saying Toyota's not
Careful.
quite the best platform.
Careful.
There's something wrong with the development of Toyota is what you're saying. That's what I'm hearing.
So,
Careful.
no, not at all. I love Toyota, actually. The FRS in particular is, I think they maybe missed a trick with having an eye toward the aftermarket, because I feel like the niche that car was supposed to fill, well, obviously it was supposed to fill the 8.6 market, and that car is so much more difficult to make perform the way you want it to, compared to like simple basic bolt-ons on an old AE86. We get to a lot of steering angle and a lot of performance, and it isn't necessarily it's not a bad design at all. It's a good handling car. It works great for track days, for autocross, but it just comes as being a compromised platform because they're using a lot of Subaru stuff. The engine position and the rack position is the biggest challenge in that car. And it's a rear rack, and it's a rear rack that sits really far back. So the only way to get a lot of angle out of it is to do some sort of cantilever steering system or move the rack in front of the cross member, really. So, yeah, Mike Kojima has some choice words about that platform as well.
Well, he did on his. He moved the rack. You changed the rack in the.
No, mine just moved forward.
Oh, you just moved it forward?
Yeah, Mike Kojima built, what was it? God, I forgot his name. What's his name? Don't pass me. I can't remember his name.
Dai Yoshihara.
Dai Yoshihara, thank you.
Dai Yoshihara, okay.
Yeah, so he worked on that car for quite a bit. So he understands the pain, I guess, of it, right? So.
Well, it's interesting we're in this topic because just recently, Lone Star Derp brought up some old posts that Chelsea Lenofa put up, trash talking the FRS 8.6 platform, and it falls in line with what you're just saying now. So I'm guessing you and Chelsea, Sean, you and Chelsea have had this conversation before.
Yeah, definitely. Again, it's not something that can't be overcome. You can take anything, and especially with how open the regulations are regarding steering modifications and drifting, you can relocate the rack essentially wherever you want. You can run it through the oil pan if you want. It's really whatever you want to do. So, no, you can definitely overcome those challenges. So, again, I don't think the FRS is a bad platform. Those comments I thought were kind of funny. It felt like they were kind of targeting or calling Chelsea out on that. And it's he just speaks his mind. He just says it very bluntly. And it's on a private forum, and then it becomes public later, years later or whatever. But yeah, we basically said, oh, it's a garbage, chassis. We did the analysis of it and everything. Yeah, when you look at what's required, I used to say this to people when the Nissan versus BMW argument back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm on the back of this car, it's basically you change one link, whereas the back of a Nissan has 5 links you need to change. Right. And in the front, it's you can what we used to do is just cut the control arms, extend them 2 inches, get a tie rod off of a 5 Series from a junkyard, and put some steering rack stops or steering rack spacers.
Right.
And then we made our own steering rack spacers back in the day because nobody made them for Beamers.
Right. Little Harbor Freight mill,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harbor Freight.
Exactly.
Lathe,
so just the amount of modification you have to do for one platform to be competitive. Versus, there's no secret or it's no mystery why these have become a really popular platform. So hopefully you can see it on the camera. That's an E46 right here.
Oh, they've seen it many times before
many times,
with all the episodes.
It's
They've seen it. They know.
I'm just pointing at a jack over here. Buy a jack. It works
Got a
great.
lot of angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but when you're at the top level, you can really make anything perform. It's got 4 wheels and a steering wheel. It's you can fix the geometry on anything.
So then compare what you just said with the FRS in regards to the level of complexity.
I feel like you're targeting the FRS.
No, hang on.
Hold on, there's some pre-existing vibe here.
No, it's not.
I think. Go ahead. I have a feeling that he wants one. I think that's what it is.
He's looking for the ultimate drift
Just-
chassis, and he thinks that's what it is.
No, it's not. Just hear me out. So
Yeah, you hurt his feelings, Sean.
how does it compare to the SL55 in regards to the complexity of it? Do you find it to be easier, or do you find it to be a little bit more difficult?
From a suspension standpoint, once you've ripped the 8,000 pounds of crap out of the SL, the SL is going to perform better just with its factory geometry. Just speaking about suspension here. But as far as like simplicity of a car, for sure, the FRS is designed to be a simple, lightweight, track performing car. Put coilovers and some decent tires on it. You can go have fun with at track days. But where drifting has gone since that car hit the market is a different. I mean, actually, I had Paul Otlowski or Piner Paul's FRS on the lift. I think in 2014. It's one of our first Instagram posts, actually. And when I got looking at it, I'm like, whoa, this is going to be a lot more work to make this thing do what we were doing with the BMWs. You want 65 degrees of steering angle, it's like re-engineer the entire front end.
Oh.
And well, it has a boxer engine, and the boxer engine necessitates you move the frame rails out further. Mm-hmm. And moving the frame rails out further means that you're going to have to make a longer control arm in order to turn the wheel 65 degrees sideways or run a shorter tire. So you see even like Turk's streetcar build, FRS they did back in the day. The tire was like 2 or 3 inches outside of the fender, and the fender was a wide body. It was a huge over fender on there. So
I think it was one of the biggest opportunities for Toyota. I think when they went the Boxster engine, like I don't know why they didn't go with an inline. I mean, I would have thought an inline 4 would have been a way better choice, but I guess they collabed with Subaru, unfortunately.
that's my kind of if I had like a bone to pick with Toyota, like the Toyota of back in the day is kind of not really there, or they're just focused on making their their bread and butter cars. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to making a niche market vehicle, they just want to sub it out to somebody. Yeah. They want to send sub the new Supra out to BMW when they had the LC 500 platform, because historically the Soarer and the Supra were on the same platform for many years.
Yeah,
and now the Supra is a smaller car than the FRS, or wheelbase at least.
It's a Z4.
It's like that doesn't make sense. Like the FRS is supposed to be the 8.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, it's a Z4 coupe basically. Yeah. And the same thing when they're whatever their reasoning is. I think they just don't want to divert resources, and it makes sense from a business point of view. I think the sports car market is more risky, so they want to share that risk. Right. So they partner with somebody that has a platform that's going to be developed anyway, or both companies can benefit. So
Ben, what do you think?
In regards,
what I'm saying is buy a Mazda.
Or a Supra. Buy a Mazda. Oh,
buy
wow.
a Mazda. Whoa. Well, like an RX-8?
Oh, guys, don't go there.
No, Toyota sports cars aren't purpose designed anymore. And I don't think they probably won't do a purpose designed sports car again.
But what about the Yaris?
The what? The Yaris? You didn't say.
Are we on the same planet?
Sports car.
Smart car, right?
Smart car or sports car?
Smart car, do it.
Smart car, you mean?
The GR Corolla or?
He said sports car.
I mean, that's what Rovanpera is using in
he's in deep into denial, right? Deep in denial.
That's what I'm getting at.
That's swapping a 4-wheel drive car to rear-wheel drive and just.
Yeah, now we're going down. Another rabbit hole there, Ben.
Yes. I'm sorry. So then, take it.
Toyota Previa.
Hey,
you want a capable Toyota platform right there, mid-engine, supercharged. 4-wheel. It's a supercar. It's a 7-seat supercar.
There you go.
Yeah. He's got one on the lift if you want it.
There you go.
I gotta have to check that out. Yeah. But when you got, so what I'm trying to figure out is that was any consideration before, because it seems like, okay, actually I take it back, because you got the car already and then you considered building it for pro purposes. But then I guess once you started getting into the lift and sort of like jotting down or getting measurements, figuring out the geometry of it, then you started to realize, okay, either this could work, or did you realize I've made a huge mistake?
We're still talking about the FRS.
No,
right?
I'm talking about the SL55 right now.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I bought it. When I bought the car, it was running perfect. And I overpaid for this car, but it was running at the time. And then the suspension failed. So then I was discussing with Sean to make like a whole kit for that suspension, and he started VVK. And then we started getting into all the suspension and thinking about all the things there, and it seemed to make sense over time. So, I mean, we've been kind of sitting on the car for a while. And so it wasn't completely on a whim, but I could have easily just bought another different car. But it seems like it would perform quite good.
Let me get this straight. You needed suspension, so you created a suspension company?
Yeah, so that was my next question.
That's the next logical decision, right?
Well, so he called me and he said he wanted suspension for a Mercedes SL, and I said, okay, yeah, we do tubular control arms and geometry correction and all that kind of stuff. We can do it for a Mercedes. And then when we got into it, turns out he needed coilovers, not tubular suspension control, tubular arms and all that stuff. So I said, oh, that's a completely different thing. But yeah, to answer your question, yes.
That's hilarious.
It turned into, we found somebody that could supply the components, and we built a bespoke coilover for the SL. And it's one of the more popular solutions to replace the electro-hydraulic suspension. Those cars, they don't have anti-roll bars on them. They do it hydraulically. And ride height can be adjusted. You put the car in sport mode, it drops like 10 millimeter. And you can drive it in like snow mode. It rises up. So, but yeah, it's just all complicated. I mean, the fully loaded version of this car weighs like 4,650, I think.
Holy cow.
It's a 2-door, 2-seat car.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, how do you pack 4,600 pounds of stuff into that?
But as you're stripping it, you see where all the weight is. You'll like pull off a panel, and then you'll find another panel. You pull that off, and there's stuff stuffed in there. You remove some huge, heavy component, and there's some other one behind it. And it's just... things are hidden in the frame rails. There's there's all kinds of weird things on this car.
We ran into that when I was building a Volvo at one point, and they just like put ballast weights in the frame rail to help with vibrations. And like they actually stuffed weight. Me and Tim were like trying to fish this weight out, but you have to unbolt and you have to fish it out of the actual frame rail. And it was the most. It's like here's like 10 pounds of weight on both frame rails. Just to add noise vibration.
Oh, we were drilling to nutsert one of the frame rails, and the frame rail started leaking coolant, and that's how I found out that there's a coolant line that runs inside the frame rail on these cars.
Like if you pull off every fender well, you'll find all kinds of components there, and then once you remove almost everything, in all of the body panels is just stuffed foam, and there's part numbers on the foam itself. And you can pull out full pieces of foam, and you could look it up online and buy that piece of foam.
I need foam part number 3256.
The good thing is,
and it's like in the frame rails, and everywhere is just numbered, part serialized foam.
I mean, the good thing is the car is rigid. The car is extremely strong in order to deal with all that weight. When you take all that weight out of there, and you're left with the main body shell. It's extremely stiff, and being a convertible as well, it has additional bracing that you can keep there, and then. Honestly, convertibles are, in a lot of cases, the best vehicle to start with for a race car. Makes it really easy to put the roll cage. They have additional bracing from the factory that you wouldn't necessarily be allowed to put in. And
that's a great point.
Yeah, and their CG's low because they don't have the roof at all. So when you make a roof out of carbon fiber, it's going to be way lighter than starting with a coupe.
But luckily, this is an aluminum roof. Like, there's a lot of lightweight stuff on this car, too. How much of it is made out of aluminum?
Almost everything on the car is aluminum or magnesium except the main body shell.
And that's what weighs all that? That's what all the weight is?
I don't know. There's like a neutron star hidden somewhere inside the car. Because I cannot explain what weighs.
Well, so he had a Volvo, and there was actually... I was in the bathroom. Sorry. I was relieving myself. All right, never mind.
You missed the frame rail that leaks coolant.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to weigh it now after all of the weight reduction?
Not
or-
yet, but
no.
I mean, it's huge pallet of garbage we just ripped out of that car.
And what you do with it? With all the garbage?
$14
Chucked in a
for
dumpster.
it. At the scrap.
$14.
$14 only?
I could not believe it.
Yeah,
All the
put that
metal-
on the spreadsheet.
Yeah, all the metal. I think I ended up getting like $40 to something.
Yeah. Wow.
But there's tons of plastic and foam and yeah, just random modules that I was like, I have no clue what this is. just chuck it behind the fender well, yeah. And they just start leaking and you look and there's just all these leaks everywhere. So you don't need any of that stuff.
It's almost like a BMW. Almost like a BMW. They
What
leak
sense?
In the fact that they leak.
Oh, okay.
I was going to ask, are you doing anything for like power distribution management? Or are you just going like with an arc panel? What are you doing on that front?
Yeah, there's just like a fuse box. So I got a custom harness made. I would say the name, but I'm not sure if it works yet.
Okay.
So I'll say
We'll
good
hold
or
off on
bad
that.
after I get it running, hopefully this week. But yeah, it's all like just integrated there, and then just
You mean you got to get paid first, right?
by the
They pay
company,
me, I can say their name.
right? I mean, I'll shout out companies if they do good work, but I don't know if it's good work yet, so I'll wait on that. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's like a Raychem wrapped harness. Seems like good quality stuff, and yeah, everything's just within like 4 feet of wire.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. Low amp. Yeah, apparently I went overboard on my harness. I didn't realize it. I don't know anything about anything. But I was told that that stuff's expensive. I was like, oh, okay. I had somebody do my harness, my engine harness, and
Like, oh, it's going to be $1,000.
Yeah, it's gonna be $1,000. yeah. Apparently I got a really good deal. So shout out to Brandon Pico for taking care of me. Anyways,
Yeah, like apparently I got quotes for over 10K for the harness,
See?
a Raychem harness, but then this company did it for like less than 3.
oh wow, okay.
For 2,000.
And it was
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of it was bespoke. It's the first time they ever put a link harness on a Hellcat.
Okay.
So that's why I'm not sure does it even work.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ignorant on a lot of that stuff. Like somebody's pointing out, I was like, that's it. I'm like, oh, okay, I have no idea.
Oh,
What?
wait. Hold on.
Teacher, I need a bathroom break.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. You know what the bathroom is, right? Yeah, I had to use it too, as well.
Do you like on Rogan? Pause.
Yeah, pause it. Yep. Everybody comes back.
Oh, we can keep going.
Oh, well, we can just keep going. It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. It doesn't matter. It gets rid of the light effect. Okay, Sean's going to the bathroom. We're going to keep talking. I went to the bathroom. You guys kept talking when I went to the
You should
bathroom.
have mics and then also catheters.
Yeah.
For each,
Yeah. No, he said we need mics and catheters. That's what we need to do. Mics and
gosh.
catheters.
just plug in to the
We
next
could make that the name
person.
of the podcast.
Well, you missed the
Yeah.
part where they built a suspension company just because they had to had to make coilovers for his car.
Oh, fancy.
That would say that was like 7 or 8 years ago.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
I thought it was like recent.
No. I bought this car a long time ago, and then it just kind of sat there after I had a bunch of problems. And then, I was like, there's got to be a better way to... I'm not going to... Because for one of the hydraulic shocks or air... I don't actually know what it is anymore. They were quoting like $3,000 for one corner.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, Sean, we just got to make a coilover kit, and then
Yeah.
you can go off and make a company and sell it, but I want coilovers on my car. So we made the first ones that, as far as I know, existed for that car. And then now there's like 7 or 8 companies now who are making the coilovers.
Because it's cheaper to put coilovers on it than to replace one corner.
Right. I was like, there's
Insane.
got to be a market here. And Sean did find a market.
Wow.
People are ordering these constantly. And it's custom sway bars on the car because it doesn't have sway bars
Really?
with the hydraulic suspension. So we had to figure out a way to pipe that all in to the
Right.
car. And I guess there might be an SL in Europe that had sway bars. I think it was like a rare version. So we might have used that. I don't really remember. But yeah, it turned into his own company after that.
Hey. Win-win situation. You get coilovers, and he has a whole nother line of product.
Yeah.
Kind of goes back to your question, right? Like he actually developed a line of product that had a huge need, right? Before it was the other way around. You were saying, have you ever developed a product that ended up not having a need, or not being able to be utilized, being banned, or same thing. So it's at the end is you still develop a product and then you find it can't be used. But
Yeah, I just came in and I was like, I'll pay for everything. and then you'll have a product, and then just pay me back.
Right.
So I got free coilovers on
There
the
you
car, and then
Get royalties.
yeah, I could have, but I let Sean have it.
Well, you're a good friend. You're a good friend.
What are you doing for in regards to replacement parts? I know a lot of it is custom, but with the sport that we're in, obviously a lot of things are going to break. Obviously, bumpers, which I don't know how you're going to go about with the body panels, the bumper budget. I mean, I know Mercedes isn't cheap in that aspect of it, but some of the, I guess you could say, like the minor details that perhaps often overlooks that can go
The
wrong.
one-off parts, right? Like the one-off parts that you break.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you, or what's your plan of attack for that?
Yeah, so if I remember right, in the current budget spreadsheet, it's like an extra 1,000 per event just for replacement parts, and then some more for maintenance. I priced out like, okay, if would it be cheaper for me to make my own fenders, like copy the ones I have currently, and it ended up just being it's cheaper just to buy the things. Just if I blow a fender, just buy the fender, in time and in materials and all the stuff I need to prep for copying a fender or a bumper or whatever. So actually, those parts are not that expensive. And I'm in talks with one company to potentially get them even cheaper.
Okay.
And then as far as like control arms and stuff, if I hit a wall, I'll talk to this guy. And then in terms of the chassis, the great thing is, like I said, you can go to an auction and get one running. It's just going to be bouncing down the road
Right.
when you drive it back.
Yeah.
And it really bounces.
Wow,
It's
that
like
bad.
this going down the road. But anyways, super cheap. And then you could sell the engine out of that and maybe even get all your money back. So replacement chassis, not too worried about it. If I stuff it in a wall, I think I could swap everything over within a couple weeks if I had to push myself.
You may. You never know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those cars just wrecked in. I mean, it was a mass-produced car
Yeah.
that a lot of people, especially in Florida, all the old people had.
Yep. No, you're right. Absolutely right. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. The owner of the company that I work for, I had to take one of the guys to go pick it up because he had it at some shop. And I'm like, hey, that car looks familiar. And it was, yeah, he's like 85 years old. He's still driving it around. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one over by Chris's shop. Every time I'm down that way, their electroplaters are in that area.
Oh, okay.
Every time I see it, I'm like, there's another one. I'm like, yeah. We got like 14 cars right now. Last thing I need
Yeah,
is
last thing you need is another one of
another
those.
SL.
Yeah, and then the only thing people are pulling parts off for is that air suspension.
Right.
Besides that, there's nothing else on the
So you
car.
probably get, who knows, you could probably even get a free chassis one of these days. It's just sitting there and just a matter of just pulling everything off and putting everything back on.
Right.
So, and the cage is done and everything?
No, didn't get on the cage just yet.
Okay.
And we have some ideas on the control arms. But right now, I just want to see if the engine works. We'll get that on. I'm doing the body stuff right now. Like riv nutting all the body kit on. And mounting the rear mount radiator this week as well.
Oh, okay.
So once all that's in and I get the seats in, then I'll figure out how we're going to pipe all the cage.
Yeah, okay.
Have you found another chassis within the Mercedes lineup that perhaps you could grab parts off of just in case you come across an issue that, for whatever reason, all of a sudden all the SL55s in
the world
Florida
are gone.
go underwater or something, and
good-
you
yeah.
can't find another SL55? What do you do?
So I don't necessarily need an SL55. So the R230 platform has like the SL65, the 55, the 500, the 600. There's so many of them. They just have different engines.
Well, it's
So-
also it's an E-class basically. Underneath, it's an E-class.
And apparently it's also a charger. So the rear end of a charger
Yeah, you can bolt
into the back
No,
of
you
it.
can't. You just, what?
You can
What?
you can bolt a Hellcat rear end, like
Are you-
the
are
whole
you serious?
subframe.
Yeah. So they've interchanged a lot of different parts and sizes.
How does that even like?
Oh, I
because
think
the-
I know why.
Daimler Chrysler.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Right.
Yeah, the Charger is a Mercedes platform. I think it's a W210 actually, but it's close enough. Apparently, people bolt them in.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the guy in Romania reached out to me and said that that's what they did. I think they took some charger parts in the back of the car.
Well, that makes life easy, right?
It's
Yeah.
not, it's not legal though.
What's not legal?
Well,
Well, I mean, the Proam it won't matter, but yeah. once you're doing tech at the Prospec level.
Hey, well, they won't even know. Like they're gonna know. Like they're gonna know. It's supposed to be.
Look at the camera and say that.
They'll never be able to tell. They'll never know. You'll never know. These are not the droids you're looking for.
Man,
Yeah.
that's absolutely wild. Like my mind, like blown with that fact just now.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I do recall that there was a time, obviously, Daimler, Mercedes, they got together. I'm sorry, Daimler and Chrysler, they got together. There was a lot of parts sharing, car sharing, chassis sharing, like the Crossfire and all these other cars. And I was just like, wow, this
the
is
greatest car ever.
This is a hot mess.
Neon.
Yeah. I wish the E36 were and bolted into an E30. That'd have been great. I would have kept the E30, but no.
Man, even Andy Haley had to finally jump over.
Yeah. But
He's doing great,
he
though.
had like 3-foot spacers on the back of his car.
I had custom control arms. The geometry was all. We used to talk a lot about it.
Yeah.
And finally jumped to the E46,
And look what the difference it made.
yeah.
Made a huge difference.
Actually, just hanging out with him at SEMA, we were talking about it.
Yeah, he's a good
And
guy.
he's like, I'm so happy.
we had him on one of the early episodes with him and Jeff Jones when they were down at Jackson's shop.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it was
it's-
like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You guys weren't out there, were you?
No.
Vegas?
No.
Yeah, because Jeff Jones does the FD party now, I guess. Or he has.
really?
He has the Jeff Jones party, and all the FD guys come out. So it was awesome.
Yeah. No, Jeff, he's a good guy. He's fun to hang out with.
Yeah, he's doing the
I mean, him and
stuff.
Jackson are like two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're just like, yeah, dude, hey, dude. They egg each other on. They just egg each other on. It's funny. It's true.
Yeah, I don't even know. Any case, Tim, anything else you want to add?
Oh no, I think I guess we'll kind of wrap it up here, and we can probably go on and on forever. But who wants to watch that, right? So Rawri, I'm just about anybody that's going to watch is probably going to already know who you are. But just in case, Instagram, YouTube, where can people find you? And I guess you said you're looking to start up the vehicle, so I guess that's going to be your next big video. I guess, right? Will be the startup of the car.
Probably the next video will be on just showing the smart car
Okay. Oh, okay.
and seeing what I get out of that. I think I'm going to get a lot of hate from that, but I think
Yeah.
but it'll be funny.
Yeah.
Big troll.
You're a
Yeah.
big troll.
It's basically a troll move.
Yeah.
So I already know what I'm going to get out of that. But yeah, next part will be showing the hopefully the engine running if everything's good there. But yeah, you can find all that stuff just at Rawri Drift on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and then just RawriDrift.com is the Discord group.
Yeah. And you're pretty, as far as communication, people reach out to you, or you get an overwhelming amount of communication that you can't keep up? Or is it at the point where you can still kind of manage and make sure that if somebody reaches out to you with a legitimate request or a legitimate concern, you will reply?
Oh yeah, I reply to everybody.
Oh, okay. All right.
Absolutely everybody. So I'm every hour just messaging people.
Wow. Okay. Good deal.
Yeah, it's fun. Like I said, it's been amazing response so far. People have been really nice. People are super helpful, and anybody who takes time out just to message me, I definitely feel like I owe them to at least respond in a timely manner.
Okay. Good deal. Hey, Paul, you have anything? No.
Sean, how about you?
No, that's pretty much it. First podcast. So
No, well, like, what channels do you have?
Yeah. Do you have a channel?
Oh.
Do you have any Instagram or TikToker thing?
Or you're always at the
there's
shop?
no ways to reach me. Yeah, I mean, obviously SLR Speed
What's
on
your AIM?
Instagram and YouTube. We don't really do much on YouTube, but we're looking to change that this year, and or as we're wrapping up this year. But definitely we're going to be doing more videos. And as always, SLRspeed.com. I'm looking at the wrong camera. There we go.
It doesn't matter.
Edit
Don't
this.
worry about it. No, it doesn't matter.
SLRspeed.com, SLR Speed on Instagram, SLR Speed on TikTok, actually. Just recently got on there. And sales at SLR Speed if you want to send us an email. We do have staff. It's not just me always answering or trying to keep up with all the emails anymore. So that's great.
Yeah.
And suspension company?
VVKUSA.com.
I didn't even know you had that.
That is specifically Mercedes coilovers. So we might be branching that out into a couple other platforms. So
And then what's your MSN?
Wait, hey, I have an MSN.
AIM?
I have an MSN. Why is that a bad thing?
How far back we going? ICQ here or my BBS?
Oh no! All right, Ben. Well, I mean, I'm tapping out.
Yeah.
We've had a good time. I appreciate you coming out here. I appreciate you guys making the drive.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting us.
No, absolutely. And you know what? Maybe we'll have you back. Maybe when you start to do competitions,
For sure.
and start to get some feedback from the car.
Yeah.
That'll be fun to see. Watch how you develop and watch how you face the many challenges you're going to have to face to try to maintain this the element of mystery. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe someone will try to rip my mask off at an event.
Well, because if he goes to Colorado, he's got to he's got to drive with Mike because Mike's out there, and Magic Mike's out there, and that's Magic Mike is serious.
Serious man.
Well, there's a lot of serious people in the scene, so it all depends on who you run into, right?
Yep. And I hopefully just encourage you to keep on the path that you're going and don't falter. Like if you have a plan, but prepare for everything, because like you said, it may be one of those things where you're gonna have to wear another mask every minute, so they pull it out. I've
thought about it. Like have a mask under the mask. You're like, gotcha.
Yeah,
I thought about that already.
Ronald Reagan.
If it wasn't for these snooping kids. It doesn't show the age. All right, man. Close us out.
Yes, indeed. Folks, thank you for tuning in. And we will actually, when this airs, tune in tomorrow, I guess, pretty much, for the live stream happening at Orlando Speedway for the King of OSW event. And after that, catch us next time for another episode. Take care and good night.